Sadhana from Mysore, Amrita University. Hi, Sadhana. Ranjit from Nicobar. Welcome, Ranjit. Shilpi from Uttarakhand. Hi, Shilpi. Riddhi from Bombay Stock Exchange, Mumbai. Very nice. That's interesting. Do you work with the BSc and you also have an interest in photography? That's very interesting. Faizan from Kashmir. Hi, Faizan. Hussain from Shantiniketan. Violin from Argentina. We are French, but in Argentina right now. Welcome, Violin. Very nice to have you. Akash from Gujarat. Saumyabrata from West Bengal. Mogna from Mangalore. Welcome. Sundeshna from Fakir Mohan University. Welcome. Hiba from Kerala. Welcome. Arya from Kerala. Welcome. It's going up very fast. I might miss some names. Rishita from Delhi, BAJMC. Hi, Rishita. I hope I pronounced your name. Claudio from Italy, currently in Pakistan. Welcome, Claudio. Shubhangi, I don't see. Where are you from? Let me see. The chat. So, Shubhangi from Mahatma Gandhi Central University in Bihar. Okay. Anjita from Kerala. Hi. We're still waiting for Gurinder to join in, but it's okay. Sometimes these moments of waiting can also be worthwhile. They can be enriching. Take a good deep breath, relax, and get ready for sharing from a person who has tremendous experience and passion for photography and photojournalism. Meanwhile, we are getting to know each other. That's great. I am Ranjit. I'm originally from Delhi. My entire life I was in Delhi, and then I decided to move to Pondicherry. So now I was born in Amritsar, lived in Delhi till I finished my Jamia from mass communication, from Jamia Millia Islamia, mass communication. And since 2008, I'm teaching in Pondicherry University, and I plan to be here till the end of this life. So Makarand from D.Y. Patil School of Design, Pune. Welcome, Makarand. Sudeshna from Odisha. Shravan from Rajasthan. Very nice. Excellent. We have people from all over the world, from South America, from Europe, from all over India. This is really a lovely community. I welcome all of you. And I really hope that this will be a good initiation of the coming weeks we have in the course in photojournalism. I will also be announcing by the end of the session a photo contest, which is only for all of you who have joined the course. This is exclusively a photo contest for you to try out doing a proper photo story, admitted as an entry, and there will be cash prizes of 3,000, 2,000, 1,500 and certificates for all. We will have a jury which will decide the prizes. And this is only open to those of you who are students of the course. All right. And I hope you'll enjoy making those photographs and sharing your work, and also getting acknowledgement and appreciation for the same. There's another ex-student who's joining in, Shivani. Hi, Shivani. Welcome back. So Shivani was the winner of the photo contest last year. And Raju Das was the winner of the photo contest in, I think, Raju Das 2021 or 2022. I forget the year.
Ma'am, 2022.
Yeah. So Raju Das, the topper of the photo contest of 2022 from the batch of 2022 is here with us. Shivani Thibral from the batch of 2023 and the winner of the photo contest, the top winner, the first prize. Both of them are here, and which reflects their kind of love and passion for photography, that even though the course is over, I informed them and they are here. And that's lovely. So I hope that the community keeps growing. So Shilpi already has a question for Gurinder Osan. Okay, so let him come in, and then we will share with him later on. Mm, if you have any other questions, also if you have watched the video, the interview with Gurinder Osan, lesson 3, those who are enlisted in the course, if you've seen and if you have any questions prompted from what you heard from him in the course, you're welcome to put that out. So Violin is introducing herself. She's French, but in Argentina. And she's working on a personal photo project about communities in Argentina. Wonderful, Violin. Very nice. Gurinder is here now. Gurinder is joining us.
Hi Radhika,
Hi, Gurinder.
Mahesh
You there,
here.
Gurinder? Hello,
Yeah,
Mahesh here, sir. Hello, sir. How are you? So Mahesh
good.
Hi
Iyer,
Radhika,
sir,
I've
a
just joined.
senior citizen, is also from the previous batch of photojournalism. Welcome back, sir.
All winners are here today. Haha.
Yeah. I mean, the topper of the 2022 batch is here. The topper of 2023 batch is here. So that's really wonderful. Hi,
Gurinder sir,
Gurinder.
namaskar.
Really lovely to see you again.
Namaskar. I'm just setting up some, forgive my
Just set up.
clumsiness.
We've been doing
Yeah,
introductions till then, so no worries.
yeah, good.
I've been with the styles. I'm going to pin Gurinder. Can everybody see Gurinder pinned? I mean, I have pinned him for everybody. Is that fine?
Yes, we can see him.
Great. Wonderful. Uh, Till Gurinder is setting up and he will start the session. Questions we'll take
Um,
later on. But just
yeah.
in that quiet space of thinking of what is your question which you really, really want to ask him, either based on the interview, the lesson 3, which he talks about his life and his work, or what he will speak to us about today on the occasion of World Photography Day. Please think about your questions, put them on the chat, and then we will take them on later on. Gurinder, we just at the last minute decided to live stream the session on YouTube. So it's on live on
Oh,
YouTube. And we put it on Instagram so that just in case if there's some people who are not on the course but who would like to listen to you, they can also access this.
sounds good.
Great. So we have all of us from the course here who have the Google Meet link, and others. I don't know how many would be there on the YouTube live stream, but it's happening live as well. So welcome everybody on today's World Photography Day celebration special interactive session. Gurinder Osan is familiar to all of you, and he needs no introduction. I've been rubbing in his introduction and again. So now you should know his, what he good for. So I wouldn't like to waste a single second and give the center stage to Gurinder. And Gurinder, walk us through your stories and tell us about the art of visual storytelling and whatever you think uh, is today in 2024 on the 18th of August merits a discussion and a reflection upon. So we are very happy to have you here, and over to you.
Just this morning, I was reading an article in the newspaper on this magazine called The Onion in the US, which says that print media is going to come back. But the caveat was that it is not just about coming back, it's about what is the kind of content that they're going to share. So they are radicalizing it from the traditional way of looking at news, bringing in some fun element, bringing in some of the sort of spoof slash fake, deliberately fake content just to have fun. So they are kind of marrying what the online world is doing, but yet getting the feel of the paper in your hand, which is kind of a habit for a lot of us, but now it's kind of fading out. But so what I'm trying to say here is that to stay relevant, we have to reinvent. And that is in 2024, since you asked, we are faced with many situations in terms of AI, in terms of fake news, in terms of so many photographers doing so many kind of crazy stuff. Not all of it great, but a lot of it good also. So it's a very challenging world for being a photojournalist if you want to look at it from that perspective. But on the flip side, there is so much happening, so there is so much to do. There is so many people out there who are willing to listen to you. The medium of photography is now such an amazing means of communication and probably the de facto right now, which cuts across all countries, all everything, religion, etc. So it is a universal language, and I would say that this is the time to have the most fun actually. I feel sad. I wish I was born 20 years later. The reason being that like right now I'm, so to speak, all dressed up and nowhere to go because there is so much technology out there. There is so much new camera gear, ways of taking images, the ways of broadcasting and spreading your images that never existed in our time. So, I feel a little left out sometimes. I wish I had the time because of my current work scenario. I'm not finding the ease of time to, step out and, okay, I want to take a 15-day trip to the mountains. It doesn't happen. It happens maybe once in 4 years or maybe lesser. But the fact is that I'm not being able to shoot the way I want to shoot, as I would have done, say, 20, 30 years back. So yeah, you feel sometimes you feel that I wish the clock could be changed. But having said that, it's only me who's stopping myself right now, and I'm sure I'll find a solution. Hmm. So you want me to carry on, man, or do
Yeah,
you want to
Gurinder,
base some
no, it's
questions?
the entire floor is yours. I mean, the
Oh my
next
God.
one and a
This
half
is
hours is yours. Keep showing them
okay.
your work, talking about it, weave your stories, and so we all are yours. We all are waiting for you.
So, before I begin on that, give me a slight feedback on the kind of the students that we have had on board. What is the kind of knowledge that they have gained through the course, and what has been their general feedback in terms so that I'm slightly on the same page in terms of where they stand and at what point should I come in. Just to give me like 2 minute
See, the
perspective
point
on
is
that.
there's some questions which people have generally asked. What are your memorable assignments? What did you learn? The general questions here. But what I want to say to keep the time that we are on to the fifth week. 1 month is over in the course. So I believe, but the students are a diverse lot. We have people from Argentina, people from Italy who are photojournalists. I mean, we actually have professionals who joined the course. I can see on the chat, Claudio and others. And there are also photojournalists, there are journalists, there are PG students, there are teachers. So we have a very diverse and a mixed group
Nice.
of people of all ages. And I think
Right.
maybe the common uniting thread is the love for photography or photojournalism. So I believe
Correct.
each one must be at different parts of the journey. Like one of them writes here that she, like for example, from the chat, I can notice, and it says here that Violin, my name is Violin. I'm French, currently in Argentina. I'm working on a personal photo project about communities in Argentina. And then there are UG students, college going students. So I think we have a mixed batch of
Right.
people who are interested in exploring photography and photojournalism in a deeper manner. And
Right.
they have gone through 4 weeks of content in the course for the freshers, for the beginners. And they've been introduced to the technical basics of parameters of photography and been introduced to you and to Prashant Pandya and Dinesh Krishnan. Yeah, I think that's what we've covered in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Hmm. So, okay, then that means I'll broad base it slightly to begin with, and maybe then I'll hone into my images and talk about them a little more. Some people are asking me, how are you preparing for your assignments? And I'm sure there are many more questions also
Yeah.
that we'll have later. So, see, when I was in class 11th and 12th, all my peers were, standing on the blackboards, even in the lunch break, and trying to solve equations of chemistry slash whatever probability and integrity of integral maths and all that. And I said, my God, this is not for me. I was a science student, yes, but then I said I want to be a photographer. So I made a very early choice, and I would say I was lucky that I had that calling earlier in life. But that also meant that from class seventh school grade onwards, I was studying books on photography. I think I read the American Central Library rack on photography probably thrice over and backwards. So mean, I came in with more bookish knowledge to begin with because I could not afford a camera. And then when I finally got one, I had decided to join the art college by then. And then it has just been a process of complete immersion. There is a very famous Khusro poem that says Khusro Dariya Prem ka aaki ulti dhar, jo ubhra so doob gaya, jo dooba so paar. What it translates to is that the life of the river of life or the river of love has to be jump into, I would say go to the bottom of, and then come out and come. And but if you do not jump and get across, they say jo ubhra so doob gaya. Whoever surfaces too soon, wo doob gaya. Meaning he's a sunk person. He's like it doesn't work out. Jo Duba, meaning whoever immerses so deeply, so far, meaning that you will get across. So you have to really deep dive into whatever you're doing, give it your best, and there's no other way. Whether you're a cobbler or whether you're a photographer, whether you're a farmer, whether you are a teacher, whatever you're doing in life, it is imperative that you have to do a deep dive. And the medium of photography is so rich and diverse, and there is so many ways that you can bring your communication across that you really have to invest basically. And by investment, it doesn't mean that I need to understand, oh, this is how the lens focuses, or this is how the exposure is set, and this is how the noise can be cancelled in software. I'm not talking about technical at all because that's I would say incidental. That works out. That there are many solutions to that. You have auto modes on cameras, you have softwares that support you, you have AI now that will help you generate the kind of production quality that you want in the end. So I'm not going there so much. I think what is especially now because everybody can do that. So if you want to stand distinctly out of the crowd, I think it's important that you invest yourself as a person, as a kind of interest that you want to dive deeply into, which could mean not just photography. It could include music, cinema, I would say carpentry, trekking, learning a new skill of some kind. I would say even sports, everything. I'm saying that the more diverse you make your knowledge portfolio, the more it's going to help you when you're finally in the field with your camera. You need to understand human psychology. You need to understand cultures. You need to understand the nuances of religion sometimes. You need to understand about human emotions and how people react to different situations. To be able to read that nuanced, emotion during a photo shoot, whether it's people, whether it's, I would say, even if it's you're shooting an animal, there is a lot more that sensitization required through knowledge. I'm not saying through experience only, of course, of experience, but you guys are young, right? Most of you are young, I'm sure. But there is no replacement to knowledge for anything. So the more diverse you make your knowledge portfolio, I feel, the better you'll be as a human being and hence also as a photographer. Ultimately, any communication we do is a mirror of ourselves, right? You choose your subjects according to what you feel deeply about. Otherwise, 10 people standing there with cameras will see very different pictures in a given scenario. Why? Because they will mirror what gets more to their scruff, like what holds them better from their neck. So the scruff of the neck. So it's about what moves you, what makes you want to live as a human being. So those elements will come across, and those elements will be there only if you have inputted them. So it's very important that you be curious about everything and anything and everything, and get to know everything. Maybe you do not continue forever with it, but do touch upon many things. I mean, I'll give you one example. I've been a sports person through school and college, and even a bit later. And because of that, when I'm shooting cricket, I know that this is that moment. When you're shooting in a long lens, you do not see the ball coming, right? But you see the batsman or the batter, and the batter's eyes is what tells you whether the ball is about to reach or not. So, but to be able to decipher that through just a long lens which is uptight onto the player, you need to understand that language of the human, body language, which will tell that this is when the ball is about to reach, and this is the movement the batter is about to make. So it's a lot, and this I'm talking about one cricket only. The same way will be true for whether you're shooting any other sports. Because you have done it, you know that this is when the peak is going to happen. Why? Because you can almost not just intuitively, not just empirically, but you can also, because of having done it, it's kind of muscle memory somewhere inside, and it'll tell you this is the moment, and it'll happen. You're already anticipating the moment because you know that it's going to happen now. If you listen to music, you will know that if there is a performance of some sort happening, now this is when the crescendo is going to be there, and at that moment you're ready for that shot. Whether it's a dance performance or it is a festival that is happening or a concert maybe. So you already know because you've observed the notes as they flow. You know that this is the crescendo reaching, and you're ready for it. So this anticipation of the sort of the perfect moment of that photographic moment, it's there or it comes to you because you already have been there. You already have experienced it in some capacity. So it's very important to enrich yourself as much and as diversely as possible. Listen to different blogs. Do not waste time on just watching sort of time fillers. Look at documentaries that give you insightful knowledge and stuff. There is so much now. That's why I'm saying I wish I was born 20, 30 years later because there is so much to absorb. At the same time, do not treat it as information. Try and structure it in terms of knowledge gaining. There's a difference. I can gain a lot of information in bits and pieces, but it takes me nowhere. It's just a cluster lying around me, but it is not coming together. So, but to bring it together, you need probably a guide, a teacher, a guru, or your own better understanding of things to how to bring everything together. That it's that whole puzzle then brings it all together, and it becomes a concrete bit of I would say knowledge. So that part is important. I hope I'm being clear about what I'm saying. Uh, and see, another thing that I very strongly believe in, I mean, besides this whole diversity of knowledge that we want to gain, is that your purpose, and that is this is a very important point, your purpose has to be higher than you. So the minute you are in that zone, you are you're not satisfied with something that is just ordinary. Whether it is an image that you're shooting, whether it is the food that you may be cooking, or anything else that you may be doing in life. If you know that this image that I'm taking right now is only gonna, in my understanding of reaching a certain. I'm sorry, I was distracted by a question. I'm saying that. Sorry, where was I? I forgot my train of
You're saying
thoughts.
whether you're cooking or whether you're doing anything,
Yeah,
you're talking
your
about that.
purpose. Yeah, the purpose being higher than you is that it happens when you know uh, when you know that you are not just there just like that. It's not just a job. It's not just that I've seen 10 people doing it, so I'll also pick up the camera because it's so cool. I can make some reels, and maybe some social media fame will come my way, and maybe some money also. So if that is the case, then it's a lost cause, I would say, because it won't last. It'll give you a little bit of a high. It's like drinking coffee that I'm doing right now. It's going to help me for a while, but then it's going to wither away. So the same for photography also. To If you have a grander purpose that you are seeking to gain, then you're not just doing it. You're doing it with a very sort of focused purpose. There is a grander plan in the back of your mind. You know that okay, I'm a photojournalist. So, for example, if I'm a photojournalist, and people are asking how do you join agency, etc. What is the position? I'm saying that as a photojournalist, I do not earn much. So if that is the consideration that you come into photojournalism because you can make because it's a job, because you make money, no, there's not so much money here. I mean, you make more money being an MBA or maybe running a business. So let's leave that. Let's leave that out of the conversation first. Worldwide, and very few people as photojournalists really make money. I would say like less than 1%. So then why are you here? I think why we here is because the experience of life that you gain as a photojournalist is so much more deeper. I mean, unless you are there, you can't shoot, right? You have to be in that, like I say, in that three-dimensional space, in that particular time to be taking an image. You can't do it through a computer. You can't do it by telling somebody on the phone, okay, take this picture. You have to be there. If you are the photographer, you have to be there in that at the exact three-dimensional space in that exact time zone also. So that is the biggest advantage also. Unless you are the best witness to anything that happens in the world around you. So as a witness, it also means that there is so much more to absorb. There is so much more to endure sometimes also. Some of the images you'll see later will be very disturbing to a lot of you. But it is because one has, in a way, emotionally, psychologically, etc., prepared oneself that it is not just that you can enter a scenario which is, say, a disaster zone or where multiple deaths have happened, or it's a very sad scenario overall, or a very happy scenario overall, but to be able to handle it not just in terms of the way you shoot, in terms of how you interact with your subjects, but it is also how you handle your own self, because you can also break down. So this whole, it's a very interesting combination. But I think that if I was given a second chance to be a photographer, I would still choose to be what I'm doing right now as a photojournalist and a person who likes to shoot the Himalayan landscape. I would still make that choice because I'm very sure about it. Because why? Because it has enriched me so much. So that is the magic. I may not have, like, wads of notes in my bank, but I have a huge, as a human, I think I've experienced so many more things that the ordinary person doesn't, and it's made life so much richer. And which is why I love to share. When Radhika ma'am came to me, this is around COVID time, she said, she's thinking on this program. I went out of my way to make sure that it works out, because I was excited about it myself also. There is so much that, that should be shared and, passed on. Somebody asked me about being in an agency. I'm currently with the Press Trust of India, which is at least India's largest newswire service. And it has, with the grace of God, a lot of subscribers who are, putting their entire faith in us. A lot of the content that we generate is, used by them very, very well, because we maintain the quality aspect as well as credibility aspect very strongly. And thankfully, I have a wonderful team that is always trying to maintain this, this whole uh, sort of high quality standards that we're trying to set for ourselves. Having said that, I also worked for the Associated Press earlier, and between I was also at the Hindustan Times. I also worked for Indian Express. I've also worked for the Business World magazine. I've also freelanced as a commercial photographer. I've done work for ad agencies and such like. I've also worked for NGOs doing documentary work. So, I seem to have done too many things. I seem to be all over the place. But it's not that. As a photographer, I see the commonality in all of this. Why? Because ultimately I'm shooting that what I described as the crescendo moment, which is coming out of a richer human experience. I mean, I can see the same kind of mm, high point when I watch the first light of day happening in the mountains, as much as I would, maybe in a scenario where children are playing, I would see the same in the sparkle of their eyes. So, but that heightened moment of emotion, one to be able to identify that heightened moment of emotion, one needs to be a slightly, I would say, uh, perceptive, intuitive, observative, everything else put together. Whatever best you can get in terms of human quality, all add up in your favor eventually. So I think I'm saying a lot about this subject. I should move on now. But ultimately, what I'm saying is that it's great to be a photographer. There is so much about life that you learn up close and personal, and as up close and personal as is possible. You will be entering people's lives. You'll be entering spaces that nobody generally goes to. You will be looking at inanimate objects around you in a very different way. So there is a lot gain uh, to be a photographer, money or no money. There is definitely a bit of glory. There is a bit of I think that's it. So don't aim it if you are looking only at money. There is a lot more richness that awaits, at least as being a photojournalist. Through my landscape work, I've still not sold even a single picture. So I will not speak about making money from that route as of now. I'm sure I will one day, but that's on my back burner right now. So, Radhika ma'am, please guide me in terms of what should be my next
Yeah. So now,
topic.
Gurinder, you can start with sharing photographs, whichever you would have kind of selected for the session, and talk about them. I mean, I don't know how you've done that, but however you plan, just go ahead. So I think that it'll be nice. You can show some work and then talk about it. So now the introduction is very beautiful because you focus on the intention and the purpose behind your photography, and that it's not just an empty running in the rat race and trying to get some pictures. So I think the tones set and the orientation is really beautiful. Now you can share the work and talk about how different assignments have made you richer and how you could make photographs and document different kinds of bigness of life.
I just started to share. I hope it's working out. Can you
Yeah,
guys see my screen?
yeah, but we can see
I've
the names
opened
of your
the.
folders: Kashmir earthquake and Tokyo 20. So we are in the
Yeah.
history. Yeah,
I'm on my website.
yeah, we
Okay.
can
No,
see
no,
that.
this is kind of a consolidation. This is my personal website, gurinderosan.com. Those who want to see it later can visit it. So I'll talk about the Tokyo Olympics to begin with, because it is kind of topical right now. And so this is an assignment that was done during COVID. Okay, 2020 was the scheduled Olympics. It got postponed to 21, and when it did happen, there was a lot of restrictions. There was a lot of requirements in terms of protocol of COVID testing and making sure that we do not get or spread the disease. So it was not an easy time to be traveling or to be shooting. For example, like if I have to shoot Neeraj Chopra the following day, I had to be applying for that stadium. In this case, for Neeraj Chopra's case, at least a week in advance, my slot. That this is an event that India will probably do well in, and I represent Indian interests. So I need a position to be able to get inside the stadium to begin with, and to be in that area where Neeraj Chopra is going to be throwing the javelin. So it means a lot of paperwork. I mean, when you see the picture, you say, yeah, nice. But what doesn't come across is the back end, how people have to apply far much in advance, especially during COVID, to book your stadium slot. Even if I'm shooting some another event, I have to first, by 4:30 the previous day, I should have applied for the stadium entry. Otherwise, I will not get entry the next day, which means that I have to track the news. I have to know which other athletes who are coming up and would be important the following day. So it meant that you're not just shooting, you're not just traveling. Like for one assignment, you probably go 2 hours by bus towards one stadium and then back another 2 hours, like 4 hours just up and down for one stadium visit. But it also means that in your mind you have to be such an amazing planner. Otherwise, it won't happen. So what you see in the end is just the last absolute, not even the tip. It's the tip of the iceberg. But there's a lot more that has gone behind this whole, the effort that has gone into getting these images, and especially during COVID, because the protocols were not just about access; they were also about the medical aspect of it. But in the end, of course, it was very, very worth it. So this is a picture that this particular frame. I really like the way people reacted to this picture. In fact, it became more popular than many of the other images at that time, and I was surprised because this is the moment before the throw. Right here, it's talking about Neeraj Chopra, who's actually an army person, and he's almost like holding a lance in his head right now, in his hand right now, and it's about him bringing all his focus together and knowing that he's all his life, this is the moment that he's prepared for, and now he has to deliver. So that whole that whole coming together is happening, and I saw the same parallel happening with me. Now it's not just the athletes who are doing this kind of reaching their peak aspect. It's also the photographer. I've trained all my life to be a photographer. I've trained all my life to be now shooting sports, understanding that sport, and then being able to shoot it. So it's also, and I have to get my technique right, my perspective of the lens right, my exposure right, my framing right, and then getting that moment right, which also captures what Neeraj is going through at that moment, or which whoever is the athlete is going through right now. So there's a lot more. There's a lot that is coming together in these final moments of the shoot than what seems immediately apparent. So I think, and that is the beauty of it also. At that time, we won gold. Sadly, this time he missed it by silver. So now a person like PV Sindhu, she's also very spiritually oriented, from what I found out later. But I could see it, I could sense it in the way she reacted to her to herself. Her reaction was never towards the outside, never towards the opponent. She was always questioning herself. She was always correcting herself. And like in this picture especially, she looks like she's completely on fire, and she's so completely focused. And whenever she won a point, I always noticed that her eyes would close, which means that she's looking inwards. Her reactions of joy were always inwards. And when she lost a point, she would look at her coach. And that's the time she would look outwards, not towards the opponent who may have done well, but towards the coach, asking, where did I go wrong? So no, it's a very different way an athlete behaves, and to be able to observe those smaller details helps you in getting those moments also. Then here she looks like all like I would say like Durga, if I can borrow that expression. And there is a for people who have seen the statue of Nataraja, the dancing Shiva. It's there's a lot of movement in that picture, but the movement is apparent because of the flying hair of Shiva. You know, his dreadlocks are in mid motion and they are nearly parallel to the ground. So, like when she's sitting, there is no movement in the hair, but when she's moving around, there is a that is apparent in the way the hair also flies around. And in this image, it's almost like again like Shiva parallel to the ground. This is why maybe I thought of Durga when I saw this picture, because there is that swiftness of movement and the grace that comes of being such a perfect athlete. Sorry, this and I never miss out on the details, right? These are smaller things that can add fun to your shooting. You notice those Olympic rings on her fingernails.
Yes, sir.
And again, it's the aspect about sports photography is the agony and the ecstasy. So in sports there is what one calls the action and the reaction, and often enough the reaction, at least in India, the reaction is what is preferred more. So the way the Indian team celebrated compared to, in this case, the Australian team that lost. I think this was a semi-final. So it's sorry, it's the quarterfinal. It just it's amazing to watch these kind of moments. So again, it's not about who loses or who wins. It's about the sort of the glory of the human moment, if I may, of the human emotion, if I may put it that way. Like in this case, Vinita Katayar was having a lot of trouble back home. Her parents were being scorned for being Dalits. Her house was nearly vandalized by right-wing fellows in Haridwar, and they hurled abuses at the family, saying, you think you are Dalits and you can come up, and those kind of kind of slurring happened back home. Yet, being a fighter that she went on, and in this case, she scored a hat trick also in the following match after that vandalism happened, and she was one of India's ace players eventually in the Olympics in 21. So it's about the grit of the athlete, and if you read the backstory, then you look out for these moments when she's saying whatever she's saying to her God or to whoever up there. It's not just about scoring that second or third goal that she did at this time, but it is also about the inner fight that has happened, what she and her family had to go through, and yet being able to overcome it all. So it's important to. That's why I said knowledge is prime. The more you know about the sport, about the athletes, about the back end, then it helps you create so much more relevant images. These are easy moments. Something good happens, people celebrate. But I like this picture more. I mean, I love the way. Why am I forgetting her name? The captain of the team. How she led the whole gang after scoring a goal. She's saying, "Come on, girls, let's do it again." This was after we lost to England in the semi-final playoffs. Eventually, we went in. I think we didn't. Yeah, we lost in the bronze medal match. But the English captain came up to her and kind of said, "Okay, it's okay. It's a game. It's a sport. People lose and win." This is the goalkeeper, Savita. She also couldn't quite hold herself. That's the captain again. But at the same time, when India wins, whoever that when you win a match, it's a different kind of moment. This is the bronze medal match. Manpreet was the skipper at that time also. That's of course the glorious Ritesh. He's such a lovely person. He was in our office recently, and he's so full of beans. So I think I'll move a little faster. See these pictures also. This is Mirabai Chanu. This is when she did manage to lift for the silver medal. And when she didn't, look at the smile on her face. It's a graceful exit that she finally made. So it is. This is also important to document. I think, like I said, reactions sometimes are more important than the action. If it hasn't worked out, it's fine. Here, like she's saying it's okay. I tried my best. It didn't work out. That's also okay. So there's lots to learn from sports people. And one of the things that the commentator during this particular weightlifting event said, that it's not so much about the physical strength. The reason being that all the athletes who have come for the Olympics are all prepared physically. They're all very, very strong. They're all have trained all their lives to do just this. But eventually, it is the mental strength that counts, even in weightlifting. It is how focused you are, how steady is your mind. Because when you lift that heavy weight up, it is not about physical strength. It's not about your muscle. It is more about your nerve. It's more about your mental focus, and all of those play a far bigger role if you want to win a medal. So it's a very different take. We always thought that this particular sport is about brute force. On the contrary, it is the least about brute force. And this Deepika, when she missed one of her targets, and that's the time with this kind of technology that you're getting now, that you can actually get an arrow midair just as it leaves the quiver, the string of the bow. But the point is that I don't want to go and hope that one picture comes out. So how do I make my pictures more, timing wise perfect? Again, look at the eyes of the athlete. So, I mean, I can show you my raw takes on these pictures also. There are very few where I have wasted too many frames ahead of her leaving the arrow. Somehow you figure out the player's rhythm. You understand this is her schedule. This is the moment that she's gathering herself, and this is the blink of the eye that tells me, okay, another 2 seconds, she'll leave the bow, and it always on the arrow. You can get the arrow when you want. It's not just one frame, but many frames. That so it's again, like I said, it's not about the raw action. It's about the very nuanced flicker of the eye that can tell you it all. This is Mary Com's last Olympics, and again, there on the sidelines there can always be some fun aspects. This is the medical that all athletes go through after a match. Lovina didn't do so well, but yeah, but she did. I think she came fourth in the last round of Olympics. This is Manu Bhagar. She was in the office recently, and for an interview, and I spoke to her and talked to her about this one, and she said, yeah, there was so much, basically mental pressure and all that. I say, yeah, come on, you were 19, so it's okay to be going through. And now she has won 2 bronze medals, and she's on top of the world. A lot of people like this picture, but for me, this is a very easy picture to take. So I will not take too much, credit for it. It's when you serve the tennis in a tennis game, you have to serve in a table tennis game. You have to serve. You throw the ball up; it always goes up to a certain height and then comes down in the same trajectory. You can anticipate it. You can time it. You can get your shot. So it's an easy shot according to me. But a lot of people liked it, so I've kept it here. This is Ravi Prakash, who got just silver. He was kind of disappointed. But again, there are times when, like for this particular, was it one of these matches where I arrived absolutely at the last second of the event because the distances were so far away. So I'm practically running into the stadium, and I think this was the medal ceremony. It had already begun when I reached. So whatever position I could manage on the sides, I took that. I took out my long lens, trained it on the, and I didn't have the prime angle at all. I didn't have the prime position at all. So it was a compromised picture to begin with. But yet, when Ravi Prakash turned a bit this way and looked at his medal, I knew I had something at least that I could give back to our subscribers. So it's you can go through this on my website later whenever you want to. And there's also I'll try and put a link of some of the a video link of one interview that I had given to Better Photography 242N. There's a website called 42N FO numerical 2.in.
they had interviewed me after this Olympics, and I had narrated about this whole aspect about the preparation aspect, the mental strength aspect, and then I had also written a piece for Better Photography magazine. I'll share that also here as a link on the same page. I'll share it as a link where the talk again was about that it's more than just being there. Just reaching the Olympics for me was a 6 month battle because of being in Tokyo. Language was talking to the people in Japan is not the easiest if you are English speaking, and just getting there, just getting to be eventually into the stadiums, and then eventually getting the moments also. So it is a lot of good things that have to happen right for for you to be able to get the picture. So it's I would say it's not easy, but it's fun and it's grand fun. I'll switch gear. I mean, my website is open. If people have questions, they can put it, and Radhika ma'am, if you can help me with them. I'll take up two more. How much time do I have, ma'am? Radhika ma'am, how much time do I have?
Gurinder, we had said till 5:30, but since we started about 20 minutes late, I mean, I think we can go up depending on you and the participants if they like,
Yeah.
up to like 5:50 or something or whatever. We have
Okay.
time.
Sure, sure. So we have an hour. Then cool.
Yeah,
Then
we
I
have an
have
hour.
enough time. Yeah,
Because the
I
ones who are
will.
here are really interested. So I think, let's make the most of it.
Cool. I'll show you some of the pictures from Sri Lanka. I was with the Associated Press at that time. I spent 10 very good years there. And I had gone to Sri Lanka with the brief that there is a lot of sports happening there. There was cricket happening, India, South Africa, and Sri Lanka Tri-Series was happening. There was also South Asian Federation Games happening. And there was also some degree of violence there happening. And the two of our staffers were not there. One had gone for a course, the other had gone for a personal leave. So I was filling in for them from Delhi. I had gone to Colombo. And the first evening in Colombo, one of my bureau chief came to me and says, Gurinder, will you go to Trincomalee? So I said, yeah, sure. Why? What? And my standard answer would always be yes. And then I would ask for details. So if somebody comes up to you and says, can you do this? My first answer is always yes. And that's been a game changer in many ways because people then want to come up to me and say, okay, we have this assignment, will you do it? If I say, let me see, okay, can I get back to you? The next time they'll say, yeah, we're not sure about Gurinder, let's talk to somebody else first, and then come back to Gurinder maybe. So you may lose opportunities. So the minute somebody asks you, there is this shoot, do you want to do it? First say yes, then ask questions. So that's what I did. I said, yeah, sure. What's the assignment? And the assignment was that there is civil war happening in Trincomalee Bay area. There is a place called Muttur where the rebels had taken hold and they were fighting at Trincomalee area, and there's a village called Muttur had been completely ravished, displaced. People were displaced, and there's a lot of violence there basically. And those who are not in the know, LTTE, the Tamil Tigers as they were called, was a big force in the civil war that was happening in Sri Lanka not so many years back. And it was a huge political issue back then. And it was very violent. So Prabhakaran was the LTTE chief, and his cadres were not, I would say they were not the most sparing also. So, and I will not say that they are the only ones who were not sparing. I'm sure the Sri Lankan army also had their share of, you know, how they handled the situations violently. So there was violence on both ends, basically. I'm not taking sides there. I would hate to do that. It's a situation, and whoever is doing whatever they are doing are always thinking they are doing it right. So I'm nobody to comment on that political aspect of this. But what I'm saying is that it was a sad scenario. There was violence. There was people displaced. There were lives disrupted forever, and so many lives lost. So overall, a very grim situation. So my bureau chief said, "Do you want to go to Trincomalee?" He said, "Okay, let's go." And the next morning we left, and the reporter colleague who went with me, his name was Rohan. He was very, very helpful. He knew the colonels in that area. So in terms of getting access, again, access is very important. So it's not just that I pick up my bags and head for the East Coast and I would just enter into a near war zone, but it's because we had the connections that we could manage to reach that far. And once you are there, then it is the ball is in your court. That's when you are, you have to play your cards wisely. You have to be smart, street smart also, and be able to handle the situation in a way that it works out. Everything works out in your favor. If you're in a war zone, you definitely can't be foolish or foolhardy. Being brave is great, but being sensible is far more important. I tell myself and my colleagues that it's not just important to go; it's more important to come back with a smile on your face. So we do not want injuries. We do not want anything that will uh, be an impediment for a future such assignment. And if I start talking about the negatives that have happened in these kind of scenarios, there are many to narrate. I will not get there right now. That's not the subject. But what I'm saying is that it's not easy. It's and you have to be very very sensible about making these kind of choices when you're doing an assignment of this nature, where there are people with guns, there's a lot of explosive around you, and you better be knowing what you're doing also. So this is the town of Muttur when it was finally recaptured by the Sri Lankan army. This is when they are reaching. We went on the same similar boat with the Sri Lankan soldiers, and they were trying to ensure that there are no LTT soldiers left behind. The rebels are not there at all. So they were kind of doing a combing operation, clearing out the area to make it safe for the civilian population to return. When you look at pictures like this, you see in a way you see people who are, if you minus if you take out the uniform from this fellow, then he's just like you and me. He's just another person, but here he is in a different avatar of himself. Likewise, there are similar pictures earlier, but let me just carry on. And when you're out there, it's not that you're in a zoo where the animal will always be inside a cage. As much as these guys are armed to the hilt, as much as they would be wearing bulletproof material around them, including me, I'm also wearing a bulletproof vest and I'm wearing a bulletproof helmet. But that doesn't mean that I'm immune to bullets. So there is always, and there should always be that element of fear. Never uh, take anything for granted. Do not believe that you're superhuman and that nothing negative is going to happen to you. It very well can. So you better be prepared and be wise, better be alert, better be, basically not doing anything that can hamper you from taking your future pictures. Let's put it that way. If this picture is important, there are many other pictures coming your way later in life that you may miss out on by, sort of damaging your health or damaging your physical self in any way for getting that one picture that may be talked about for maybe 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, and then it is forgotten. But if you survive to take the other good pictures that are potentially there in your life, then I think that is a better service you do to yourself as a photographer. And again, like I said, I do not want to talk about the people we have lost. Even in the recent days, my closest friend I had lost in Kashmir. There are many like Danish and all who have been lost recently to this kind of violence. But let's not talk about that right now. I mean, this person's this dead body is that of a police inspector. He was an SHO. So I mean, he's fallen to the bullets. So who am I? I'm no superhero. But for me, it's whether I was shooting in Afghanistan or I'm shooting in Nepal or I'm shooting in Sri Lanka or I'm even shooting in some parts of India. It's not about glorifying the violence. It's always about how it is impacting the lives of the ordinary people. And like I said, that village of the town of Muttur had to be evacuated, and there were thousands of people who had to be, you know, uh, who made to migrate forcibly and take shelter in refugee camps. They took everything that was important to them and just fled. This lady was pregnant, and they're setting up camp for the night in the refugee camp. But I always try and look for that message of hope. Of course, there is violence and tanks and everything else, but I think children always give hope. So I hope it worked. And this picture, especially, This is in the refugee camp. This child was sleeping in a kind of a single knot hammock, and it was it was moving because it was single knot. It was kind of rotating on its own axis, and as it moved, the light fell very differently on his face, his or her. I think it was a boy, and it was like almost like these are the dreams of the child, as the way the light kind of danced on his face. This child was standing in a queue for food. And yeah, war is never pretty. Can really impact people's lives. But again, sometimes, for me, if the family is together, then even in the worst of scenarios, there is hope. And for me, the worst thing is when the elders in the family have to participate in the funeral of a child. This boy was a aid worker and he had been killed. Likewise, so that was in her 20s, probably early 20s. So if the parent has to bury their child, it's the saddest thing ever. Very gone, whatever. And again, it's this whole numbing of or normalization of violence that happens. This is two policemen who had died, and their bodies had been again in the rebel firing, and their bodies had come to the village, and it was inside kind of a community hall of sorts. And there were children, and there were families just gathered there to see the dead bodies. So it was kind of I mean, I'm saying my child should never see this. Likewise, any child should never see this. This woman fainted eventually from the crying, dehydration, and the pain of the death. We were obviously close to the dead policeman. The two of them. So my wife called me when I was there, and she heard some uh, different sounds. So she asked me, "Where are you? You're not in Colombo." So I couldn't lie. So I said, "Yeah, I'm in Trincomalee." "What are you doing in Trincomalee?" I said, "Yeah, nothing. Nice place, beach, sunny area." So then she searched up my pictures on the internet and realized what I was shooting, which was all the pictures that I just showed you. And she was, of course, not very happy about it. And I said, "No, no, don't worry, I'm going back to Colombo." So I went back to Colombo, and I think a day after I landed, there was the Pakistani Independence Day, and the Pakistani ambassador was attacked. His convoy was attacked. So again, like despite going away from the war zone in the Sri Lankan capital, also violence did not kind of leave that country at peace. These are this perforation that you see is not from bullet marks. These are from what are called claymore mines. You take steel balls, place them along with explosive in a slight U shape, and when they explode, they spread across, and they rip through anything that comes their way. And the people there, look at the sullenness of the policemen here. They are so tired of this violence. You see it, it's enough is enough kind of a thing. And even in the people, what do you do? How do you, as ordinary people, grapple with this everyday, sword on your head kind of a scenario? Anyways, I'll get back. I'll pick up my tsunami work, and then maybe I'll move to some of the landscape work. And hopefully people should ask questions. Radhika ma'am, should I take a break? And maybe there are some questions that we can answer right now.
I think it would be better that, because in the flow, if you show it, because there are already a lot of questions on the chat, and then we can take all the
Okay.
questions together.
in one go. Cool.
Because right,
Good.
yeah, because right now I think you're in a flow. So after we complete the presentation, then we'll take all the questions.
I hope I'm making sense with what I'm showing.
I mean, you're making a lot of sense to me. The others, if you think it's making sense, you can put a smiley or whatever. Uh, give some reciprocity on the chat. Each one of you is here. Yeah.
I won't see it because I'm on the shared screen,
No,
but
don't worry. I will copy the entire chat and I will email it to you later.
cool. Fine. No, as long as I'm like,
I think you are. You're getting very nice
being in
responses,
tune.
like you're a gem, and there's absolutely like you have a fan following here. What I can make out.
Awesome.
And I don't know if you can see the
Awesome.
screen, but there are these
No, I can't.
hearts. There are these hearts that are just flying all over the screen. I don't know if you see them.
No, I mean, I'm not seeking that validation, but it is just that I hope I'm making sense and I hope I'm being relevant for the purpose.
You are,
That was
Gurinder.
my
You're always too
take.
humble. You make more than sense. So please carry on. It's amazing. I always, when I listen to you, it's I can never have enough of it.
Okay, thank you so much. So then I'll carry on. What I'm going to show now is very disturbing content. It's graphic, extremely graphic in nature. I'm showing it because, and it was published also for the same reasons. I'm showing it because it mattered that across the world, 1.5 lakh people died from a wave that emanated somewhere in Bande Aceh in Indonesia and traveled across the world, even killed somebody on the east coast of Africa. One person died there also, not just in the South Asian subcontinent and the Southeast Asia area, but it went up to Japan and went up to Africa also. So that is the magnitude of nature's force, and that is, I think, uh, when we look at anything that is stronger, like a lion, for example, so you call it a beast, you suddenly want to demonize that kind of stronger than you nature. But nature is nature. That is how it is. Meaning that is the nature of that thing. If an earthquake happens, it's the nature of the earthquake to rumble and tremble. And when it does that, if it is in water, then the water's nature is to pick up that wave and travel. It's not being evil or it is not being demonic or anything negative. It is just it's nature. That's why it's called nature. And the same I would say for whether it's an animal or whether it's just fending for itself. It also needs food. It's going out to eat, and it, if it's eating a baby deer, a fawn, or whatever, it's not seeing it as a baby, or it's just seeing it as food. So, and we do that too as humans. I think we are far more violent than a lot of men. But the thing about the difference between a man and man and nature, if I can segregate that, is that we do it by choice. Like we have the capacity of making a choice. We have the intellect of making a choice. Most of the elements of nature are not making that choice. They just are. And that is how the tsunami also was. It is just that is how the sea would behave in the case of an earthquake. It just meant that it rose to a certain height and it kind of came across, in this case, violently, uh, and it killed people. So this is in Kadalur, which is on the Tamil Nadu coast, and the above picture above was of a mass grave. I went there recently. They have kind of covered it up, put a small memorial there, and but at that time, there were layers and layers of bodies that had been washed ashore, or rather, uh, people were drowned in the tsunami wave that came on the coastal areas. And it was mainly the coastal people who died, of course, and a lot of them were the fishermen because they lived very, very close to the sea. Their whole relationship with the sea is very, very different uh, and very symbiotic. So, but yet sadly, the sea decided to take some of them back. Again, it's when these were relatives, I would say again the elders have to take care of the young, or when the young's dead. So it's for me, it's one of the saddest sights. Again, this woman had lost her child, so she will not forgive God in her mind. And I went inside this pit also, this mass grave pit. And the people here did not understand English language at all. They were all speaking in Tamil, which I didn't know. And yet, I thought that it is important that I enter that pit and take this picture because not because I wanted a dramatic shot. It was more because I wanted to show the scale of this tragedy and the fact that even so many children had died, and the fact that the whole village, as a as a very well-knitted community, had come there together and mourn each other's loss. It was a mass grave. It was a mass funeral. It was like a mass grieving also, and hence that in a way that shared grieving helps. If I can, I'm saying it as an outsider, it's very easy for me to say that as an outsider, but it helps when you know that it's not just me, this has happened with so many more. So this, in a way, by the community coming together and sharing each other's loss, probably gave some strength to others. But this picture for me, besides capturing all this, was also important from the aspect of I love to shoot children. I find them as the best side of being human is being a child. So, and I've taken a lot of pictures of children through my life. So there's a certain uh, fondness of for the subject, if I may put it very oddly. But me wanting to go inside the pit meant that I can't just enter. There are many layers of dead bodies, like I said. And when I went down, I'll probably be walking on some of them. But the volunteers were also taking the bodies, like you see in the picture below. The volunteers were taking the bodies into the pit, and I also followed them. But to get there, I didn't just walk in there because I'm coming from a city and I'm holding two cameras. That doesn't give me the right to just enter that pit. It it meant permission, and it meant that even though I do not know the language, I looked at the people in the eyes, made that moment that I want to step down, and they said yes. And the reason they said yes again was not because I'm a city fellow with two cameras. It is because of the look in my eyes. I was grieving with them. I mean, they could see the pain in my eyes too for that, that huge tragedy that is unfolding in front of us, unfolding in front of us. So unless you are not empathizing with your subject, I would say that you have no right to be there. If I went there coldly as a mercenary, okay, I've got the $1 million picture, let me get out of here and take the next flight back. Then I'm doing disservice to the genre of photojournalism. I'm doing disservice to myself, and of course, I'm doing disservice to the people who I'm shooting, on whom I depend. I always tell my students that I take pictures. If that is the phrase I want to use, my question is, what do I give back? So the give back doesn't have to be money. The give back can be a smile. The give back can be a look in the eye that tells the person that it's okay, negative things happen, but we have to carry on in life. That kind of a look. It could be just a smile. Whatever you can give back is important. It could be just that oh, I have some food. Do you want to share it? I have some dry fruits lying in my backpack. Do you want to have some of these? I'm sure you're also starving. Or I have this water, and I know that you are looking thirsty. You want to share my water? Anything. It doesn't have to be that I have to take them to a food stall. Is what I'm trying to say. It's not about doing the greater thing, but it is important to do the right thing at that opportune moment when it matters. So here, what mattered was that I don't just enter that pit with the uh, arrogance of a Associated Press photographer who's having his right as a press photographer to be wherever the person wants to be. It's none of that. I'm there as a as somebody who's sadly a witness to this huge tragedy, but has to get that communication across to the wider audience for them to understand what has happened, for them to make moves or make policy or to make uh, things move that can eventually help the people who have been affected so badly. This is when people started returning back after about a week to their houses to find it all gone. That's the sea not so far in the background. This is the Bay of Bengal Sea, Tamil Nadu coast. This is a bridge over which she's walking. This was in Velankani, where in a church they had been Christmas mass the previous night, and on 26th morning they had all gone to the beach. A lot of the nurses, a lot of the people who had the devotees who had gathered there, they had all gone to the beach, and I think over 126 of them died. Some big figure like that. Many people basically died, and this was a mass that was held 1 week later. Just I hate to bring this up, but I think it is important as a photography student to understand this point. When I was shooting this picture, I had already been in this tsunami affected area for about a week. If you notice, this photograph has been done with a telephoto lens, so it is not, it's shot from a, I would say, a healthy distance, in a way giving respect to the subject who are in this case grieving so much loss. And one photographer arrived. I will not even tell you where he was from. Okay, it's a he, but that's all I'm going to disclose. And he's about 6 feet tall. He finds this woman who's crying, and with his wide angle lens, and you know what a wide angle does. If you want a tight, or if you want a close up shot, you have to get closer. In a telephoto, even from a distance, you can get a close up shot. With the wide angle, you need to get closer. So he had his wide angle lens on. He's nearly poking his camera into the crying woman's face and taking pictures. And I glared at him and said, like, you have just arrived on this assignment. These are probably amongst your first few shots. This is not how you shoot. This is not how you disrespect your subject. Of course, he didn't have good pictures. Why? Because his attitude was all flawed. He came there to gain, gather, take whatever is left kind of an attitude. Instead of, realizing what is the gravity of that moment, what is the situation, how people are, people's lives are damaged, and showing some respect for all of this. But anyways, there are different kinds of people. So this was after a lot of pursuing, I finally managed to get onto a ONGC helicopter to get a top shot. Now that is the same bridge I was mentioning earlier, where that woman in red was, and this is the bridge from the top, where all these boats have kind of piled up, like little paper boats have been smashed around by the surging ocean. This is the relief that came in, and okay, I'll go back to one picture, and then I'll come back again here. Is this frame? Now, I saw this picture in black and white, printed on a poster and kept and on a wall. So, because I could not understand the language, and I found one person who could barely talk some Hindi, I kind of befriended him and made him my, so to speak, my translator. I was paying him also. He had returned from Dubai, so he knew some degree of Hindi language. So he became my assistant slash translator. And when I saw this image printed in black and white on a poster with something that was written in the Tamil script, I was a little worried. Why is this picture being used the way it is, and what is it saying? Now, the background to this is that till that point, I was feeling very odd as a photographer. That, what am I doing here? There are so many lives that have been lost. There are so many people grieving. There is so much relief that is coming here, and there are not enough volunteers to distribute it. Am I being really useful as a person with just a camera going around, almost like a voyeur, going into people's lives and shooting their sort of sensitive moments and, sending back pictures, doing my job? Is that it? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing here? Is that, as a human, is there a bigger responsibility that I have here, which is beyond just taking pictures? So I was very confused. And I was like, every night I would sleep at 10, get up at 6, and again be out. So I was shooting through the day. So that's all I was doing. And it was, in a way, that whole the grief element, the death element, or the stench of the dead, the chlorine that is added to it, and overall the whole atmosphere eventually gets to you, and you start questioning what is your purpose there. And I was very confused, to be honest. I was not sure that I should be shooting at all now. Maybe I should go to the railway station, pick up a sack of grain and help transfer it to the places where it is supposed to go. So, but this picture then on the wall had this message in Tamil, and I asked my translator to help me with that. And he says, "Ke, oh, it is by Enadu newspaper. They have asked for relief." So then suddenly my light bulb blinked on, and I realized that the image that I have shot is creating a communication that is reaching out to a larger audience, and that larger audience is getting out of their comfort zone, seeing the gravity of the situation on the ground, and maybe somewhere they're digging into their pockets and sending whatever they can as relief. And which is why relief was pouring in, which is why one was seeing those trains of grain coming in, the many volunteers that finally came there also. So maybe somewhere the communication, I'm not seeing pictures only, the communication that was being generated from the ground helped people outside understand the gravity of the situation there. And maybe that if these pictures were not there, and also from so many other photographers in the world who had come there, if these pictures were not there, then maybe that the message would not go out. Maybe people will continue with their lives without an iota or inkling of what has happened. Without understanding the gravity of the situation, how can you react? So maybe somewhere, the images that as photojournalists I produced and so many others also produced, helped create that awareness, that communication, and that empathy for the people here who are affected so badly. So this is on the top. The top frame is that of relief coming in, and you can see how much of a scramble there was for whatever food came their way. This is again for me a very sad picture. These are drawings done by children of the tsunami itself. Okay, why were they drawn? These were children who had been orphaned in the calamity, and they were not speaking at all. They were like they had just become totally uh, silent, not saying anything, not doing anything, completely numb. So there was a team of psychologists that had come from Chennai, and they gave them these sheets of paper and said, "Draw." And that's what the children did, and they started drawing. So even if you look carefully, there are pots of the utensils, etc., floating around. You see the houses that are submerged. You'll see, I think there was a car also that was shown here somewhere. So basically, everything is going underwater, and that's what the children had seen before they survived, but their parents died. And like I met one woman also who had lost her daughter, and she spoke a bit of English. And I was on the beach next to the sea, and she was walking down. Well, initially I thought I'll pick up my camera, but then I left it, and she came up to me, and she told me her story that she had a 9-year-old daughter. When the wave came, they were both together. She held on to a tree, and she held her the other hand. She held her daughter, but the force of the water was so strong that eventually she could not hold on to her daughter, and her daughter got swept away and probably died. So as she spoke, and she broke down, and I broke down. And of course, there are no pictures because I did not shoot. But that is the only time that somebody spoke to me because they could, in the sense of language. But here is a different language. Here is a language that the children could express because they were not speaking at all, but they were speaking through their drawings in this case. And it helps because the more you let it out, the more you process it, and the more you get over it and go like carry on. This is when the catamarans were again taken back to the water. This was somebody who was scavenging, and she found this portrait of Jesus Christ in the debris. It still has some sand on it. Okay, some pictures I thought I had included, but I haven't. But there's a picture of a boy jumping into the water, and it speaks about the relationship to the sea for me also. So for many years I could not go back to the sea. I don't know swimming very well, but I jump into the water and I like to swim around and do whatever. But after this assignment, for many years I could not go back to the sea the way I used to. My relationship with the sea had changed by that time. It still is in some ways, but yeah, these things do that to you. What else can I share? So this is another aspect of the. I hope it works. There is a plugin that is involved. I went there 10 years later. I was in that time at the Hindustan Times. Uh, It's still loading. Give me a while. Still loading. So what I try to do here, I hope it works, is I try to do a before after. The same images that I had shot 10 years earlier, I revisited the same spot. Because the camera details were available, I could use the same lens, meaning the same. If it is 37 mm, then I use a 37 mm at the same aperture. If it is say 5.6, then the same aperture also. So I stood in the same place, in the same light, with the same lens, and the same aperture and the same shutter speed, and not shutter speed necessarily, but yeah, I tried to take these pictures 10 years apart. So this is what was in 1996, and this is 10 years later. You can visit the website, and so this is another way of telling a story where you because of the camera details being available, you can recreate as best as possible. This is the image I was saying. This was actually a bridge that I had shot from the top view from the helicopter also. This is on the bridge, and this is the bridge again, but in this case they have removed it now, and there's a new bridge that has come out in the background. So the thing that I had to keep something in the as a identifier of the. So I think I kept that, the water tank. It's not perfect, but yeah, it's broadly there. You can visit my website, like I said, and see these pictures. So this is, for me, it's also a message of hope. This is how it was, and this is what it became. So it's also about humans as a species, kind of bouncing back, getting on with their lives. And these are 10 years apart, mind you. And that pink still stayed strangely. Or that whoever owns that place loves pink. You can see these later. Again, I like to leave with a message of hope. So yeah, 10 years later. I'll take up this one, and maybe then it's 5:30, so we should get on to the questions. This could be my last. So this is Shapira. She is a Afghan woman staying on the outskirts of Kabul. She had been in Pakistan earlier, so she knew a bit of the Urdu language, which hence I could communicate with her, I could speak to her. I'd actually gone there to shoot Obama in case he lands in Kabul or in Bagram, where the U.S. Army bases, the U.S. Forces bases. I'd stayed in Bagram earlier. I've spent 6 weeks in 2003 April. I was there for a full 1.5 months. So it was all familiar territory. But this was on the outskirts of Kabul, and Obama did not come. So there was no pictures that we got on this assignment. But then a colleague of mine, Rafiq Makbul, amazing photographer himself, many awards he has won also. The two of us went out for, generally for seeing if there are pictures possible. We went to the outskirts of Kabul. There was a palace that we visited eventually, which is all broken down now. There's a very poor caretaker family staying there. And again, when we were on our return, we saw this kind of refugee camp on our right. So we stopped there and realized there were a lot of children there carrying water back, and generally there seemed to be some activity in life. In that very arid landscape of Afghanistan, whenever you see life, you want to shoot it, because there is so much richness after that aridness of the landscape. Then suddenly you see life, you react immediately to that sort of, so to speak, positive sign of hope or seeing a human. So in this case, we followed those children, and they led us to this camp where this lady stayed. Her name was Shapira, and this was her family. She had 2 daughters. That's her in the background, if you can see her. And that's her son, who is mentally challenged. He was at that time 16. And this is her house. Look at, this is her kitchen. This is a soot-filled kitchen top roof, and that is it. These are her belongings. This is her belongings probably. So they are so bare minimum poor. It's very. What should I say? The more you see this, the more one becomes grateful for whatever little one has in life. it's when you see the how people can be so deprived and so poor, you realize that how kind God has been to you. He's that same boy who's mentally challenged, trying to fly a kite. Extremely gentle though, very amazing person. That's her family, and this is the overall camp. There is just one man that I found there who's relatively old. The rest were all either dead or working elsewhere to make ends meet. That's that palace I mentioned earlier in the background, again damaged by shelling during the Russian invasion. But despite everything, there is, there's so much life in a positive way. So Rafiq and I were very touched by this whole scenario. And as when you travel, the office gives you some money. We call it per diem. So I had that money, and I felt that I don't need to take it back to India, and I wanted to give to in some way to Shapira. So again, Rafiq and I we went out to a store on the next day with our car. We had a taxi. We bought some wheat flour, atta, put it in our car, and took it to the camp. And we told Shapira this is what we are doing. So she very graciously accepted. She gathered all the people in that area, said, told everybody to get some bag or utensil. She first distributed it to everybody and then took for herself. And she said to me later, "Ke, aap mere asli bhai ho. You are my real brother." So that was so, what should I say, enriching, for the lack of a better word. You feel that you've done something that is not just taking pictures, not just taking the picture, but here you're returning in a it's not charity, it's not anything else. It is just that if you can make a difference, do it. Don't question it too much. So I think that was the better part of that particular assignment in Afghanistan at that time. I'll quickly talk about my landscape work and then I'll stop because I think it's getting time. Uh, I love being in the Himalayas. Uh, I You can see these pictures later, but what I would want to say is that, like, especially this particular area, I've done a course in mountaineering. It's called NOLS, NOLS, National Outdoor Leadership School, and it's a course I did at the age of 37 when all my batchmates were broadly students from the US universities, and the average age was probably 22 or maybe 21. So I was very much older, so to speak, but in the same breath, a lot more experienced and wiser. So it's being in the mountains is not just about being able to physically do it. It's a lot more to do with your mental capacity also. But what was happening is that I was there and I was training on this course and I was seeing pictures all around me. And because of the instructor's instructions and the weight considerations, I could not carry my camera. So I was dying to shoot. I had a small camera, but it wasn't doing justice to what I was seeing in front of me. So I didn't have good pictures. And I promised myself that I'll return. So I think I've gone back 6 times over after that. And I absolutely love this landscape. It's in a place which is in the Pindari Valley. I have one Sadhu Babaji who lives there. He's like a mentor, guru, friend, and guide who stays there. I visit him as often as I can. He also, when he comes to Delhi, he visits us in Gurgaon. But when I visit him above his ashram area, above his kutia, or rather his cave that where he prays, there is this kind of landscape. And in April, it's all snow covered, so it's really beautiful. And what one also sees from here is the Nanda Devi Peak. It's there in some of my other pictures. I will show that also. I No, sorry, not this one. This is where Babaji stays. That's the top of his house, and it is completely buried under snow. It's like nearly 2 stories high, this Trishul, but it's buried under snow. Getting back. So this is the Nanda Devi Peak, which is, it's very inspiring for me. This is from that same location above Babaji's place. It's Nanda Devi East. It's a twin peak, and that's Nanda Devi Main. It's a very powerful mountain. I think whenever one has gone there, one has come back completely energized. There's something really beautiful about it. those who haven't experienced it, the up close and personal Himalayas should go not to the typical, you know, Manalis and Shimla of the place, but go remote, go deep, interact with the people, and interact with the landscape. It's something else. And again, like I said, it's probably my passion as a photographer that leads me to these places. But then life is so much richer because you have seen these and observed these moments so closely. I call it the source. For me, this is the source of energy, knowledge, everything. For me, Nana Devi is more than just a piece of rock and snow. Yeah, I think I should stop, and maybe one should. If people have questions based on my website, they can ask me now or later, whenever. And yep. Am I? Yes. I have to stop sharing. I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm back.
So thank you so much, Gurinder. It was really beautiful. Now let's look at the chat. You can, if you can also look and see in which order you would like to take questions.
Well, I can't see the questions on my phone.
So should I read them out for you?
Yeah, that would be good.
So
maybe you can also prioritize in terms of post relevance.
Yeah, I would, because there are a couple of it. And so let's start from the very beginning. I think the very first question was, I'm just getting to it. So Shilpi Sahu had asked, I have a question. What does a photo editor look for in a photo story?
See, in a photo story, they say the Chinese proverb, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So that is when you're talking about a single picture only. So even in a single picture, the 1,000 words are there, but you'll probably break them up into paragraphs. And each paragraph should be again written like a story, where you introduce a character or a story or a situation or a subject, and then deep dive into it, and then take it somewhere. Meaning that even in an image, single image, you will look for that. You look for where is my message starting? What are these 1,000 words, so to speak, and how are the paragraphs segregated? It could be one para, it could be 100 paras, but that information, how is that trickling down in terms of the downward pyramid, as journalism students, I'm sure you guys have all learned about the inverted pyramid of information. So even in a photo, the same thing works. So when I look at an image, what is it that my eyes go towards first? What is my point of entry? And eventually, where all is my eye taken, and where do I exit or come back maybe to the point 01? So that's for a single image. The same thing is relevant for a set of pictures too. So now those same paragraphs that I mentioned can now be taken across as a set of pictures, and those pictures have to be telling that story now in a more detailed way. We have the luxury of that instead of showing only one picture, we can put it into say 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever number one decides. Averagely 10 is good, 10 to 15 is healthy, not more than that, never go more than that. 5 is less, I think, at least 6, 7 pictures per set of pictures. If you're making a set, then let it be at least above 5. So in those 5 or above, what is it that you are now saying? Why is that picture number 1 there? What is the reason for it to be there? Is it the establishing shot? Is it the one that is introducing me to that subject? Is it just a scene shot that okay, this is the village we are talking about? So what is the purpose of my frame number 1? What is hence the second shot now? Again, like I said, the inverted pyramid of information. Where am I taking my viewer? The person should not get bored by the swiping of the thing. Like, okay, second picture, third picture maybe, and then you are gone. So how do I hold the interest of my viewer? Which means that each picture should be self-standing, should be relevant, should be telling the story in the splitting of the paragraphs that I mentioned. So they all have to come together, and not just come together. They also have to come together interestingly. There has to be the language of photography, and its surprises should not be lost. Each picture should surprise me. Otherwise, what's the point? Each picture should grab me by the scruff of my neck. It should shake me. Otherwise, I've seen it. So you carry on. Otherwise, then there's no point. So I'm saying do something that is relevant in terms of the choice of subject. And once you have that basic in your head, then approach it in a systematic way when you're shooting. It doesn't have to be done in an hour, or maybe even in a day, or maybe even in a year. It can spread across. But keep your narrative, the broader structure of the narrative in your mind very clear, and keep working towards it, and see objectively as often as you can, and even show it to your friends, colleagues, other photographers who ask that, this is what I'm intending, is it coming across? So take that feedback also. But the set of pictures should all eventually stitch together, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever. But they should all be leading you towards the information that you want to communicate. So same logic is for a single frame, and the same logic to a spread out extent is in a set of pictures also. A set of pictures is actually more challenging because you have to make each picture, even though the fifth picture and the first picture may not look at all similar in any way. The light can be different, everything can be different, but yet they are part of that narrative. So how do you stitch picture number 1 right up to picture number 5, right up to picture number 10? That narrative, so it has to be, you have to be, fiddled to you have to be true to your thought. Your thought should run through. The communication is not because, oh, this picture is nice, let me keep it. It is more to do with this picture is telling me this particular story aspect, and this second picture then connects that story aspect here, even though it may not be a great picture, but it's connecting the thought, it's connecting the story. Then the third picture then takes this aspect of the story. So then this whole sort of, the thread is common of that necklace, but the pictures that the various things that you string along will eventually create the entire piece of jewelry slash story, whatever you call it. And but the other aspect is that the what I said about element of surprise, there should also be the visual surprise also. One way of doing it is, okay, all my pictures are going to look gray bluish. Everything is going to be grayish and bluish. So that is a choice that I've made. It's a deliberate one. It could also be that no, my first shot, if it is gray and blue, the next shot maybe has to be pink. I want to create that sudden imbalance in my set of pictures. I want to surprise it through color also. Or maybe my first shot was a wide angle and my second shot is a deep extreme close up or a micro shot, whatever. So I have to create these. I'm using these tools not because I can, but because it is helping in communicating the story that one is looking at. But yet, if there is this element of that break and the element of surprise, it engages the viewer. There is the monotony goes away. Unless the monotony is for a reason, then it should be a deliberate choice. It should not be because I had only these pictures that I'm working with them. It is because I want to create that monotony that I've kept these pictures. If not, then we should be very, should think it through. That okay, these are the 5 pictures I have, and these are the 5 missing ones, and I have to go out and get those pictures to complete my set. Yeah.
Thank you, Gurinder. Another question that is there is about memorable moment. I just lot. Can you share? Phantom is asking. Can you share one of your most memorable assignments and what you learned from it?
I think the tsunami, and I think it just taught me how to be a better human being, and how the strength of the elements of nature, and also the perseverance of the human spirit. And me also as a photographer, how one can be in that situation, create your how not to break down in a situation like that. I mean, sharing this, that 6 months after that assignment, I had a nightmare in which I don't see nightmares at all. At all. Like I don't get scared of these situations or any situations generally. But in this case, there was a nightmare of, I'm seeing a whole beach full of dead bodies and this person on a hand cart taking them onto it and, throwing them away. But the way I am, engineered as a person, I didn't see it directly. I saw it on a screen, and I'm seeing a kind of like one of those Doordarshan documentaries. So it is in a way third party. Even in my dream, I had created a firewall. So that's what is you do as a photographer when you're entering a deep situation or intense situation like that, you have to create some degree of walls around you. Otherwise, you'll break down and not be able to do your job.
Thank you,
Thank
Gurinder.
you.
The next question by Wildlife Stories is: how is your thought process when you get any assignments? How you look at it from photojournalism point of view?
Like I said, having a deeper understanding of that subject is important. So whatever it may be, even if mm, let me give you some offhand example. Uh, mm, Nothing is coming immediately. Even okay, I'm shooting Sachin or maybe okay, Virat Kohli. Now Virat Kohli is doing the World Cup. He has not been in the best of forms, and he's been criticized. So when he equals the record of Sachin Tendulkar in Kolkata, I was there shooting him, and I knew what he would do. So we're talking about preparation here, right? So I knew the news. I understand what has been happening in Virat Kohli's life over the last 2 3 years, and that everybody has not been very kind to him. Though he's an amazing person, he's an amazing sports person also. Yet he's drawing flag for non-performance, but he's capable of having the delivering the surprise when needed. And at that time in the Kolkata semi-final match, I think it was against South Africa, he made his century and equaled Sachin's record. Now, when that moment was about to happen, I knew exactly what's going to be his reaction. Having seen the person, having observed, and knowing and understanding the way the stadium is. So you know that people who are dear to Virat Kohli are not sitting on my end, they're sitting on the other end. And they are the ones who he's going to face. The same thing, incidentally, also happened with Sachin Tendulkar when he made the double century. It was in Jaipur. And in both these situations, I got up from my seat and moved around to take up a position where I anticipated that this when the batter reaches the golden moment, they are going to look towards that general direction. And in both the cases, I was lucky to capture it. So in Virat Kohli's case, he he did a run. People were expecting him to jump and throw his bat in the air, which he did in Mumbai later for his when he surpassed the record of Sachin. But in that scenario, he just did it very quietly because for him Sachin is a guru. So he did not go overboard in his reaction, and he very in a way he very quietly held his joy to himself and reacted that way. So that picture was the picture, but it did not happen towards where I was sitting. He had turned by then. He was facing where his family slash friends were sitting and the rest of the team was sitting, and then he reacted, and not even towards them, just slightly away from them. So, but he faced in that general direction, which is what somebody would naturally do. Why would you face a stranger and react emotionally, right? You will react towards the people you love. And the same with Sachin also. When he got his 200 runs, I think he broke his 200 run in ODI. I think the first time somebody did that. Time magazine used that picture, double spread also, I remember that. And he again, where I was sitting, I got up, and in this case also somebody I will not mention that person's name. He followed me to where I was. He was an agency photographer only, and another even in the southern case, somebody from another agency saw me moving, followed me, and the two of us hence had that picture. And because all the other people sitting there did not have that picture. Because Sachin did not obviously look in that general direction. He looked in a very different direction, and that is a moment to be captured. So by understanding the game, by understanding the news, by understanding the person, you knew that this is going to happen, and that is mostly what photography, eventually comes down to being able to anticipate, especially in photojournalism, because that moment will not happen again. Either you have it or you don't. So to be able to be in the right place at the right time is important, and that doesn't come from only good luck. It also comes from a lot of planning, a lot of understanding, planning based on understanding, and a deeper knowledge of the subject. Yeah.
Thank you, Gurinder. Raju Das is asking, Sir, I want to work with photo agency. How to prepare myself?
See, photo agency photographer, 1 minute you'll be even in a newspaper slash magazine or news portal. Moment you're shooting in a slum, the next moment you're in a five-star hotel shooting some big event. and the third moment you're probably shooting a portrait in somebody's house. So it's very varied, and you have to be good in everything almost. Of course, you'll have one particular aspect of news journalism that you're very good at, but broadly you have to be a jack of all trades and a master of all. And that helps because you never know what's the next assignment going to be. You may come back from you come back from a fashion show, and there may be a bomb blast outside, and you're running for that then. And you should know how to do that also properly, safely, most importantly. So it's so varied. So, like I said, you have to invest in terms of training, in terms of physical training. Also, you should be able to walk. You should be wearing the best shoes possible because walking is important for getting pictures. You should be able to run up nine floors if needed to get your picture. So physical health, preparation, not smoking, etc. All of these add up. Being healthy is important. To be able to endure, like in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack scenario, uh, everybody, not just me, I had left from Delhi. I had barely slept 4 hours, and when I reached Mumbai at around 9 o'clock, from that till for the next 60 hours, there was no sleep. So having slept only 4 hours and then enduring 60 hours of no sleep was the requirement of the moment. And not just me, everybody did it. And some of us got pictures, not everybody did get all the best pictures, but yeah, we got some because there was so much happening around also. But again, it became a game of endurance also, and yet being safe in the sense that, like I said, the animal doesn't necessarily, like in a zoo, necessarily stay in the cage. In this case, the animal could be outside. The animal could be behind me, for example. How do I know that there are only these many terrorists inside cars or inside the Jewish house? How do I know that these are the only people that one has counted? Maybe there are others also, and maybe they'll come now. So you can never eliminate the aspect of you can never take anything for granted. So being alert despite no sleep, all of these add up. If you want to be doing this genre, then there are so many things besides just holding the camera. Even for holding a camera, for an agency powerful. Like I said, I've gone to Sri Lanka. I'm there for like a whole month. If I'm shooting cricket, then there's a test match is 5 days. Every day I'm taking the same position, shooting, filing, again shooting, filing. In the Tokyo Olympics, I would barely sleep 4 hours every day and work for 21 days nonstop. So it seems very nice and easy or very glamorous. I was there and I did that, but there's a lot of things that have gone in the background, and I think I love it. I love this aspect of the so to speak game, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. Is what I'm saying. You may get exhausted. You may say that like I made the wrong decision. Oh, I thought this is how it's going to be, and now look, my God, this is so unsafe. I was sent for this assignment, and oh God, those people nearly threw stones at me and killed me. That is the nature of the game. That is how this is. So either you are it or you're not. There's no midway when you want to do anything. Not just photojournalism, anything. There should not be a midway. Either you be, like I said, be full, immerse yourself fully, or don't bother.
Lovely, Gurinder. So the next question is, uh, I don't know what answer to it would be, but is it necessary we have to do an offline photojournalism course to be approved to get into any job? How can we do freelance photojournalism?
No, no. See, I think the world is wide in terms of work. Also, there are many ways people are making money through photography, and being in an agency or being in a job is not the only one. Uh, it's convenient because there is a setup that helps you get through, in terms of access, in terms of finding out the news. So it helps to be in a job. It gives you a discipline also of getting up every day and heading towards a place of work. But it's not necessary that you have to be in an agency only. Being a freelancer also can be very, very gratifying. I know so many people who have worked in a newspaper or an agency and then gone on to do freelance work, or others who have done only freelance work and also have done well. Ultimately, it's about you. It's about what you want to say as a person, what do you want to communicate, what is your calling, what is it that bothers you or makes you happy, and taking that, you should find your route. Whether, I mean, there's a friend of mine whose family owns a big business in Lalitpur of selling suitcases, but he goes around all of rural India, especially Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and some parts of Maharashtra, where he shoots the tribals. He loves to be there. He loves to be with them. He finds a lot of learning when he stays with them. And his pictures, he keeps getting these fellowships from religious center and such like. And also he does a lot of work for NGOs. And not necessarily all of this is for money. He just, I mean, he has family business he has to work on it. But he just loves being there. His name is Rohit Jain, and his Instagram handle is called Photo for a Cause. So he goes on. I mean, I love the fact that he's chosen this passion. He barely pays his rent, but he loves to be out there. So it's just your calling. It is what he said that he really want to do. Like I said, my landscape work, I would have invested half my savings into that. I bought the best of equipment to shoot that landscape. But going on landscape means your entire year's leave would probably go towards that 15 to 20-day trek. I've trained as a mountaineer so that I can reach these higher locations better. But I have made no money from it yet, and it doesn't matter. If I make money, great. If I don't make money, that's also fine. It's not about that. It's about wanting to do it, and eventually, when you do it, now that the universe sees it, the universe listens, and you will find it coming back to you in some way. It happens. Do not chase the money aspect only. I think it is important to chase your calling. Do something that is relevant to you as a human being, and like I said, your purpose should be higher than.
Next question is, आपने बताया अब टेक्नोलॉजी से काफी हसूलियत हो गई है, बढ़ गई है, लेकिन क्या आपको नहीं लगता कि मॉडर्न तकनीक और ऑटोमेशन के कारण फोटोग्राफी सीखने वालों में एक्सपेरिमेंट करने और उसके अनुभव से सीखने का मौका खत्म होता जा रहा है? दिस इज बाय के मीडिया चंपारण।
नहीं, मैं देखो, कोई भी टेक्नोलॉजी आती है ना, हम सब डर के रिएक्ट करते हैं। अरे यार देखो, ऑटो फोकस कैमरा आ गए। पहले तो हम अपने हाथ से फोकस करते थे, देखो अब तो ऑटो फोकस कर देता है, तो हमारा काम क्या रह गया? अरे देखो यार, ये देखो अब तो ऑटोमेटिक शटर आ गया, इसमें प्रोग्राम मोड में डाल दो, आपको सोचना नहीं है, अपना सारा कुछ खुद ही कर देगा। अरे देखो यार, ये तो फोटोशॉप आ गया, इस तो सारी पिक्चर आप जैसे मर्जी खींचो, आप ठीक कर देगा ये फोटो। और ये देखो एआई आ गया, अभी एआई ने जो हम इतनी मेहनत से पिक्चर बनाते हैं, लोग कंप्यूटर बैठ के 2 मिनट बना लेते हैं। ये होता रहेगा, ये कभी खत्म नहीं होगा, और ये अच्छी बात भी है, ये कभी खत्म नहीं होगा। क्यों? क्योंकि हमें वो एक मौका दे रहा है कि भाई ये है, अब हमें इसके आगे कैसे बढ़ना है। हमें, अगर हम 100 लोग खड़े हैं, उससे हमें एक अलग कैसे होना है, हमें एक स्टेप आगे कैसे आगे लेना है। अगर हम सिर्फ जो सबके पास है टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज, कैमरा वाइज, वट एवर वाइज, अगर हम वैसे उसी में उलझ जाएंगे, तो हम उस भीड़ का हिस्सा बन जाएंगे। उस भीड़ से अलग होने के लिए हमें अपनी पहचान बनानी चाहिए, और हमारी पहचान तभी बनेगी जब हम कुछ ऐसा करेंगे जो, पहली बात है, हम अपने दिल से कर रहे हैं, फिर अपने दिमाग से कर रहे हैं, और फिर जो कर रहे हैं उससे कुछ फर्क पड़ रहा है किसी की जिंदगी में, दुनिया की जिंदगी में कुछ, उससे हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। अगर हम सिर्फ ये देख रहे हैं कि अरे यार अब तो ये हो गया, अब तो ये, मतलब वो नेगेटिव एटीट्यूड से हम अपने आप को नीचे लेके जा रहे हैं। एंड ऑफ द डे, कोई भी पिक्चर, कोई भी कैमरा शूट कर रहा हो, कोई भी फोटोशॉप में ठीक कर रहा हो, कोई भी एआई के थ्रू जनरेट कर रहा हो, अल्टीमेटली हम एक मैसेज दे रहे हैं, एक कम्युनिकेशन, एक आवाज बन रहे हैं अपनी फोटो के माध्यम से। वो सबसे बड़ी चीज है। वो हमारी स्टोरी क्या है, हमारी कहानी क्या सुनाना चाह रहे हैं, हम क्या पहलू जिंदगी का दिखाना चाह रहे हैं, और कैसे दिखाना चाह रहे हैं, और उससे देखने वाले को क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है, वो ज्यादा जरूरी है। सिर्फ इसमें अगर हम फंस गए तो फंसे ही रह जाए, आगे नहीं बढ़ रहा है। हमें इससे उठना है, ऊपर उठना है, इसको यूज करना है, इसको अपना दोस्त बनाना है कि नहीं? I think Radhika ma'am abhi hai nahi.
I'm here. I was drinking some water. I was just having
I want some water, but anyways,
but please have some water. I think the couple of
नहीं नीचे है, मुझे जाना पड़ेगा। I'll carry on.
Okay. I just had water. Okay, so then a comment: empathy matters. Unexplainable emotions captured. I think it's a response to your work. Absolutely brilliant. That's response. Great work, sir. Speechless. Stories behind the pictures show the true story. Thanks to Gurinder, sir. Then, sir, your tsunami work is speechless. Then Phantom asks a question. what advice would you give on creating a strong and diverse portfolio?
Strong and diverse. So both are important. Strong doesn't just happen. One has to work for it. One has to, like I said, I mean, the richer you are as a person, the richer your portfolio and your pitches will be. So, and richer means stronger also in this case. So it's not, it won't just happen. You will not say that one day, okay, let me get up and shoot drug addicts, or tomorrow this story is trending, so let me go and do that. Or transgender is a easy theme to shoot. People talk about it all the time, so let's go and do it. So this is not how it should be. I mean, there's a very nice person and photographer called Chinky Shukla. She's relatively young, but and I was at the Insan Times when she approached me with her work, and she had taken pictures in Jadugoda where people have been affected by nuclear waste, and such strong, heartfelt pictures. Like you're talking about strong work, right? Now, and she didn't end there. She went to one place in Rajasthan also where there was a similar situation. Then she's gone to other places also where the nuclear experiments that we keep doing, whether it's to do with nuclear power plants or to do with testing, how it has affected the people and change their genetics and DNAs, and hence they are born with deformities and other issues. So she's taken a deep dive at a lot of risk, I would say, because the authorities are definitely not happy about those pictures coming out. But she's chasing her passion because she truly believes that this is a voice that should be heard. So it's first to do with the choices you make. What are the choices you are making, and then how to make it, you know, how to get that message across in a way that has an impact, has it influences lives and people's thinking. Uh, and the flip side is that you can take an ordinary subject also and make it special. So one of my colleagues at the AP, who also went on to be a Nat Geo photographer and all that, David Guttenfelder, he wrote an email to one of my other colleagues at the AP called Manish Swarup and me. He said that, you guys have the ability to go to the most boring assignments and make amazing pictures. So in this case, he was referring to a picture of Army Day parade. But I had used my flash on a slow pan shutter and got these Sikh infantry soldiers with their gleaming steel rings around their orange turbans and their whole march past, taken up pan blur. Like you take a slow shutter speed, you pan it, and then when your flash also fires in a rear shutter scenario, then it captures a movement sharply in a sharp way, and the rest of it is a nice blur. So a very ordinary subject suddenly became very colorful and special. So, like he said, you can take the most boring assignments and make them special. So it's not about, sometimes it's not even about the subject. It's about you saying that, okay, this is going to have my byline. This is my picture. How do I make it special? Okay, I've got to stage one. What is stage two? Okay, I've reached stage two. What is stage three? Okay, now how do I reach stage 10? I can jump from stage 3 to stage 10. It has to be a slow process. But I should not stop trying. I should keep saying, okay, I've got this. Now what can be better? Should I take it from this perspective? Should I come back maybe in the evening? Maybe should I try it tomorrow early morning? Or whatever it takes to make that picture even better, I should not stop myself. If it means that I do not shoot at that point and wait for the next, say, 2 days, 5 days, 10 days to get that frame, do that. Make it count. Make your effort count. It's not, okay, now that I have my camera up and I place at that particular lens, I take a picture and I'm happy and I come back. No, okay, I've got my first frame. I have something in my pocket. What next? How can I make it better? How can I make it even better? So you have to invest. Keep asking yourself, is it good enough or can I make it better? And that's the only way you'll progress. And like you said, your stronger pictures will hence come from that. And diverse, of course, you need to be diverse to make it exciting, to make it to keep that element of surprise, to even to make it interesting for your own self. You should not get bored of your own content. Forget about the viewer. So ask yourself, am I happy with what I have, or what else can I do? Yeah.
Gurinder, the next question is, what strategies would you recommend for capturing powerful images in high-risk environments while ensuring personal safety and maintaining journalistic integrity? The person is Suze Mint. I mean, that's what's written here.
What's the first part of the question? I forgot.
What strategies would you recommend
Strategy.
for capturing powerful images in high-risk environments while ensuring personal safety and maintaining journalistic integrity?
The first part of the question I would answer is called ABC. It's awareness, backup, contingency. Awareness about the subject, about the risk possible, about that situation. Say a landslide has happened, one more can happen, or somebody has shot a grenade at this location. Another grenade can come, or whatever. Whatever is the risk, the complete awareness of what are you entering into. Am I on solid ground, or will this give way and I'll fall and I'll become the news? So that awareness is very important. That's the A. The B is the backup. Okay, this has happened, but what is my backup to this situation? If I fall and I break my camera, do I have a backup camera? If I do not get this picture, what is the other picture possible? Okay, if this thing happens, do I have a way of getting out of here? Am I secured? Say if it is in a war zone, am I wearing my bulletproofs and my helmet? What is my backup for that situation? So if I'm in a landslide zone, am I walking in the right place? If not, am I on a safety rope of some kind? So what is my backup? I have to ask this question. This third is a C, the contingency. Okay, I did everything right. Despite that, something negative has happened. I've cut my hand open. Now I can't walk, or my colleague has had an injury and they need attention medically also. So even mentally, I would say. So then, what is my what is my preparation for that contingency also? So in all of these three things become imperative. Like, awareness, backup, contingency, ABC. It's as simple as that. So, and then you said the second part was about to get the, yeah, of course, when you are in a new scenario, you're doing it out of a huge responsibility. You cannot be, it should never be about me, or, I took so much risk to be here and I got these pictures. Even if what I have may be ordinary, but I was there. So the I should go away firstly. The subject is always more important, and like I said, your purpose is always higher than you. And so that is the first part. And if you are honest about it, and if you're shooting like 55% heart and 45% head, then you will get the pictures. What you're saying about strong pictures, that will happen by default. Even if you're not the most amazing composer of your camera, whatever, shooting ways, etc. It doesn't matter so much there. If you're being able to be true to the situation, to what you're observing there, and being true to your own emotions in the way you are rendering them in your camera, even if a simple picture will hence be powerful. Look at the old work. Not all of this that is like fanciful composition, but it is just the power of that moment that has been captured in the way it has been captured, and it's still relevant. So just keep your keep true to yourself. Keep your choices simple. Remain true to yourself. Like they say, play your own game. Play your game the way you normally would, and don't try and do something fanciful just because oh, I've been sent to this fancy assignment, so I have to deliver something special. No. And in fact, one of my colleagues saw my old work when I was at the AP, and my boss, Elizabeth Dalziel, she looked at the work and said, Gurinder, your older pictures are so much better. Why are you trying to be an AP photographer? Just be yourself. So that is also very important. Being yourself is far more important than trying to show that, oh, I have to be that kind of photographer. If you are true to yourself, you will be distinct, you will be relevant, and the people will come back to you because it's you and not because you look like 10 others. Yeah.
Beautifully expressed, Gurinder. That's really lovely. Now, the two questions related to gear, and I'll read them out together. So, Soumyabrata Roy asks, what camera did you use during the tsunami time assignment in 2004? And then Bidan Krishna asks, best camera under your recommendation for beginners?
These questions are important, but I will not say all important. Reason being that, there's a person who won a World Press photo using a camera that's called the Holga. It's a film body on a 120 mm format. and it comes with sticker. It's a film camera, right? So people who are aware of film know that you cannot expose it to light. Only the lens that comes to only the light that comes to the lens of the camera should reach the film. Otherwise, if you expose it to light, it gets blackened out. So they gave this camera that is very, very rudimentary. The Holga camera is very, very rudimentary. It even comes with black tape where you seal the light leaks that are happening there. So it's as elementary as that. It's almost like if you the older generation would remember the Agfa Click 3 with light leaks. So it's that basic a camera, probably a plastic lens also. But somebody shot pictures on that, and if you dig it up, you'll find that that person won the world best photo using those that kind of technology. So, like I said, the picture, the moment, the emotion, the storytelling is far more important eventually than the camera gear. But yeah, in some scenarios, especially sports, etc., camera gear does matter. So I will not say that it's I can do it with any equipment, but it should not become an overriding consideration. There are a lot of good pictures possible even with the simplest of equipment. In the case of the tsunami, I was with the AP, so the AP had issued camera gear to us, and the one I had was probably a US 1D Mark II, probably. I'm not sure whether it's Mark II N or which one, but it was one of those US series camera bodies with the average lens that I preferred was a 1635, but on the US 1D it became into 1.3. So it is close to a 21 starting. 1635 would be like a 2140 kind of lens range, which is my preferred lens. I also shot on the tele, of course, which is a 7200. And what was the second part of the equipment question?
Second part was that recommendation.
For camera gear. See now, there is this joke going around that Canon and Canon and Nikon had this joint press conference that okay guys, we've made these cameras and this is it. We are stopping now in terms of technology. We are not going to improve our cameras any further. Whatever we had to give, the best is already available. Now please go out and shoot pictures. So of course it was a joke, but the fact being that now technology has overtaken our requirement. There is far more available than we actually need. So either we are smart about how we employ it, you understand that this is what the technology can give, and hence use it for that particular picture. It should be the picture deciding which technology points that I bring to the fore, which is it that I can, which is the one that I should employ now. Instead of saying, okay, now that I have this technology, let me use it to get this picture. It should be the other way around. It should be backwards. Since I need this particular picture of this bird that's only visible near its nest, and it's a dense foliage, so I need to set up a camera trap with a flash or two on a strobe, on a wireless strobe setup, and I need to shoot it remotely. So I need that kind of remote access to my tethering. Because of the requirement of the situation, I set up that scenario, right? Or if I'm shooting sports, okay, I do need that 400 lens minimum to get that proximity of the action and to be able to capture it on a camera gear that is being able to shoot in that reasonably low light at the fast shutter speed that I need for getting a perfectly sharp still picture. So the photo should dictate my technology, and I should not basically in Hindi they say na buddhu bachcha ka basta bhari. I should not pack my bag so much that I'm carrying all of it on me and not knowing what to do with it. It should be very clear that this is the requirement of the image, and this is hence what I need to take with me.
Gurinder SR Hussain is asking, sir, please tell me something from the point of view as a photojournalist. What key points keep in mind before capturing photographs? And second question is about post processing after taking photographs.
See, when you're shooting, like I said, one is shoot from your heart, 55% at least, if not more, but also from the head. So this combination of heart, by heart I mean the whole emotional part, the whole empathy part. Always have empathy, not sympathy. Empathy for your subject. It has to be the element of compassion. You with all those things riding high, and also the ability to understand nuanced human behavior, you enter from your heart first. And head, by head I mean the rational aspect, the intellectual aspect, how you can bring that also into that whole composite reaction at the time of taking your picture, how you can bring all of these aspects of your personality together, and then take a picture that evokes. So, it's a combination of all. Sorry, I forget the second part of the question was. When
Second
I'm
part was
taking.
about post processing. After taking photographs, what do you keep in mind as a photojournalist?
So yeah, I mean the first part I was already spoken about a lot, so I may be repeating. But what I'm saying is that you this heart and head combination is very important, and uh, being observant, being alert, being hungry, not greedy, hungry for more than what one has already got. Like I'm just saying that, like I don't get satisfied too easily. Even when I'm shooting in a AC environment, often my subject, like if I'm taking a portrait in a corporate setup, which I used to do a lot when I was in the business world earlier, people would look at me and say, "My God, why are you sweating so much?" It is because I'm so intensely involved, even for a simple portrait. I've got these lights, and to make sure that all of them fire, I have to get my composition right. I know that the office is really trusting me for this assignment. I've gone to this big corporate honcho, and I can't get it wrong. So with all that stress, pressure, yet my own expectation from myself. So all of that combined makes me like, I really sweat it out, and I never get satisfied easily. So I try, even if I have 2 minutes, I'll squeeze the best out of those, of all the possibilities in those 2 minutes to get out before I get out. And the same for everything else. There should not be, if I'm like I did not mention his name, but I had sent my colleagues to an assignment, and he was complaining about taxi fare. And I said, where you are right now, many people would die to be here. Make the best of it. The taxi money will be reimbursed however we can later. Don't make that your criteria right now. We are very fortunate to be in this situation, to be able to be there and shoot, maximize, because these opportunities don't come very often. So when you run assignment, I think that should outweigh anything else. Logistics, money, etc. somehow work out. If your intent is right, and if you're, like I said, your purpose is higher, these things work out. I've never come back with the grace of God. I've never come back without a picture. Like I have these nightmares and I'm missing a picture, but none of those nightmares have come true, thankfully. And the second part of the question was on
The second question
post
was
processing.
about image processing post
See,
after.
yeah. As a photojournalist, there are different rules, and I try and apply the similar rules to my landscape work also. So I will speak about them broadly right now. That whatever one could do. Which was the AP norm in the Associated Press. We were taught this very simple formula. Whatever one can do in a traditional darkroom. So for those of you who are aware of a traditional darkroom, one can one shoot on film. You put the negative in the enlarger, then you blow it up. So you can enlarge, you can crop. So that's one part. You can, as far as post production goes, then you can expose to a darker print or a lighter print. You can dodge and burn. You can change the paper to create a different kind of contrast, and do retouch dust and all that, right? So the same holds true for digital also. One should not say, oh, I don't like this cloud in this part of the sky, let me remove it. Oh, but this part of the sky needs more birds, let me put some there. None of that should be done. You'll do it once, you'll fool people once, but you can't. What's the saying that you can't fool all the people all the time? You can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Something like that. But that's what I'm saying. Like basically, you will never thrive on your lies, and the same holds true for post production also. So do it to the extent that the way you perceived it also. Like if I, Himalayan landscape, I'm wearing dark glasses because I am supposed to when I'm walking in snow, and I see the sky as darker than it normally was. That's how I saw it. So that's how I'll probably process it also. That's being honest to myself then. It may be a little deeper than what the sky actually was, but that's how I saw it. So I'm being true to myself at least. Ultimately, you should be answerable to yourself in an honest way. That if I'm being able to face the mirror and say, okay, I did not lie, whether in my words or in my pictures, then it's fine. Then one can do as much of the post-production required to enhance the frame for it to be noticed and relevant, but not to the extent that it starts looking fake or AI generated, or going overboard in terms of it's like okay, I'm making this recipe, and because I have so many flavors to choose from in terms of ingredients, let me put everything in. Then we call it khichdi, right? It's a mixture of, it's a garble of everything. It doesn't work. It has to be thought through. You should know the choices that you're making, and those deliberate choices should be for a certain reason, and that reason only. And ideally, it should not be a lie.
Two more questions, Gurinder. Satishan Karicheri is commenting and then asking, most of the news media uses multimedia contents a lot nowadays. For that, photojournalists in many organizations are turning into visual journalists who can produce quick contents for reaching out to people so fast. As a photo editor, what's your take on that changing scenario of photojournalism?
See, it's to do with the times that we are in part of right now. You know, the smart device has become paramount in everybody's hand. People have access. That's how news is being consumed. Uh, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was different. And I'm saying 20 years from now, again, it will be different. What we're doing today will not be the trend 20 years from now. Things change. That's fine. That's how it is going to be. So now, whatever is the requirement of that current consumption pattern is what the news organizations then either dictate or adapt to, one of the two, right? So I don't say anything right or wrong about it. That is how it is being consumed. That is how it is being consumed. I don't want to go out and change that behavior of people to no. You should only see pictures in a double spread in a magazine. Magazines are not there, or I can only show this in a coffee table book. Nobody's buying coffee table books, or I can only show it in this exhibition in Paris. Oh, I didn't get the opportunity yet. So these become not so relevant after a while. What is more important is that uh, whatever is the way that you can. I mean, for example, I'm hardly on social media. I'm not so gung ho on putting on my pictures as soon as I shoot them. So sadly, I mean, I should be doing more, but I don't. But the point is that uh, whatever little I put, people react. People remember, तूने वो story डाली थी ना बड़ा अच्छा लगा. And I had just put it just like that. So, but the fact is that is how people are seeing the content today. So that is the way you should be communicating. If there's something that you have that is relevant, and if you're not showing it, if you want to show it, that is, and if you're not showing it on social media, not for the heck of it, but because you feel that it should be shared, only then you're losing the bus, no? You're missing the bus. If this is how people are seeing pictures today. Let them see it that too. Some people are making money from it, most are not, from Instagram, social media, reels, etc. But there are some people who are making money from it also. You have to be, for any money making situation, you have to be smart, and you should understand this is how the business runs and adapt to it and make the best of it. But people like me are not smart about marketing, so I've not been successful in selling my content or selling myself. But it's okay. That's okay, because I still believe that my content creation is the bigger aspect of my life, and I'm doing that. And when it comes to editing for my organization, also for the PTI, for example, now, or for HD and AP earlier, then it's on the basis of again the news relevance and what matters to the next day. Like there will be pictures. For example, this picture came the other day. It was a bit blurred, and my color correction post production team had rejected it. Okay, no, Mamta Banerjee is looking a little blurred. So, and then these are my instructions that if your picture is not up to the mark, quality-wise, we should reject it. But I knew that news-wise that was relevant, so I released it, and sure enough, Times of India also carried it the next day. So, some of these choices that one makes as a editor are based on what the subscriber needs, what our subscriber needs, what is the end user need. So, and often those are that may go against choices that may go against your grain. I do not like blurred pictures when I'm shooting personally. Even if if I'm shooting like this and this eye should be sharp, but the other one is sharp, for me it's a rejection, right? I mean, I'm as critical of my work when it comes to quality. But that's how I've been. I'm a bit of a purist in that manner. But if that is the only picture I have, okay, this eye is sharp and this eye is blurred, but that's the only picture I have, and that picture is relevant and is important for the particular that day's narrative of the news, then I'll release it. So I mean, I will not. No. It has to be. This eye should be sharp only. So these are compromises you do make in the news business. There's a very interesting exhibition slash book done by Robert Capa, and it's called Slightly Out of Focus. So that book shows his war images. I'm sure you've heard of Robert Capa. If you haven't, you'll come to know what in the course of in the course ahead. Or you should just search it up. Robert Capa is quite famous worldwide, and he's no more sadly, but yeah, he was one of the most interesting World War II photographers. And his very famous line was, "If your pictures are not good, you're not close enough." Dig it up. There's a lot more to that than just these few words. And his book, slightly out of focus, were all blur slash shaken pictures shot at the moment of a violent scene. It could be a Spanish Civil War soldier mid-air and getting a bullet in his head and dying, and picture is shaken. Or it could be the execution of a prisoner of war, or I think it was civil war in this case, and the execution happening, and when the execution, when the soldiers, all of them, like each of them are firing, at that time he shook his hand when he clicked that frame. So when he's shooting that kind of a moment, his normal reaction is to shake up a little himself. I mean, even if you're a war photographer, it's not that when you see that degree of violence in front of you, you will not react. You will react. And your hands will shake. You will tremble, and that's fine. That is how it was, and that is why his book was called Slightly Out of Focus. So again, it depends on what you are eventually doing with that picture. Where are you taking your viewer? That is, the subject becomes more important than sometimes quality considerations or the choices that you have to make from.
Gurinder, there's the next question, Shubhangi Srivastava. Hello, sir. I was just looking at your website and I did not find a single picture related to politics. So my question is, have you never thought of clicking a picture related to political events?
I've shot many, but I don't. I generally keep away from politics and politics. I'm that kind of person. I have lots. I have some very nice pictures. I can say proudly. There are many politicians have reached out to me and uh, requested for the frames. And so it's not that I don't shoot. Maybe now that you say it, maybe I should put it up. I haven't given it a thought. But yeah, I do shoot politicians also. But I generally don't. As a principle, I keep away from this aspect of human nature or to do with politics or politicians both. So yeah, that's how I am. But yeah, I have enough pictures of politicians. Don't worry.
Gurinder, the last question here in the chat is by Pooja Rani Bihari. Good evening, sir. My question to you is that clicking candid pictures are really tough, or clicking a candid moment, replicating a random moment, and also wanted to know that whether a random clicked picture be regarded as candid picture or candid picture be regarded as random picture. It's a little bit of a twister. Basically, could you just explain it referring to certain example or event you have captured till today? Or could you just give some tips on how to click candid or random pictures without getting the picture blurred?
No. All these three things are very different things. Out of blur is one aspect. You can get a simple portrait also out of focus if you are not shooting with your cameras. If your maybe camera is malfunctioning or the way you're shooting is not right. So out of focus is a separate aspect that can happen at any time. So nothing to do with candid slash random moments. So let's leave that aside for the while. And on the candid and random aspect, candid doesn't mean random. Random will mean I reach there and go and hope that one picture comes out. That is random. And okay, well, let me put my hand up and shoot and maybe I'll get something. Maybe not. So that's randomness. Candid means that your subject is in the flow. There is a certain degree of naturalness in the scenario. And when you're shooting, you are not changing that at all. You're going with the flow. That will be capturing the candid moment. So it could be that like especially children, you'll find that the subject as a subject, children are amongst the most difficult subject to shoot because they are so alive in their reactions, in the way they are so fickle. They move so much. There's so much good energy in them, so they're constantly. So to be able to get them uh, technically also is a challenge, and you will definitely find a lot of so to speak candid moments because they are always themselves. They're constantly in the flow. So you also have to become a child. You have to get into that flow, and then by becoming that, you will probably get your candid moments also. And the same applies for everything else, like every other scenario where the certain degree of the natural flow of events as they unfold in front of you, you're able to, without influencing that moment, you're able to capture. I would call that being candid. It's not about picking up the camera and suddenly shooting. It's not that way. It's about, here is a situation which I want this frame to be, frozen as part of my reaction to that moment in history, and I've been able to do it without influencing, damaging, or being untrue to that moment. So you react in the flow, and you manage to capture that flowing moment in front of you. I think I understand. I mean, since I don't have so much time left, I would broadly call that being uh, shooting candidly. But within the candid moment, so you can reach higher degrees of refinement also, and that is where some of the successful street photographers probably come in, where you not just capture candid, but you go 10 steps further. So that's that's where the excitement starts beginning. Then it's not about randomness at all. So don't confuse the two. And blur doesn't, candid doesn't mean blurred. You can't give yourself the excuse that, oh, I was shooting candidly, so it became blurred. It should be candid and sharp. If you want it sharp. If you want it blurred, fine. Then it's fine. If that's how you intended it. But if that is not how you intended it, then it's a mistake. As simple as that. Yeah.
So, Gurinder, a lot of the participants here are, I don't know if you see them on the screen, but their hearts flying up, and there
I
are,
can see.
yeah, they're very interesting, like all the use of emojis by hearts and all bouquets and flourish of
Thank you
hearts.
so much.
So, really interesting responses visually. To your interaction, and also on the comments people are writing, thank you so much, appreciate for your time. And Wildlife Stories has thanked you for recommending Slightly Out of Focus and very detailed answers. Thank you so much for your valuable time, sir. And I really, really want to thank Gurinder, because I know he is a very busy person, but he always takes time out for things he values. And I think Gurinder values sharing knowledge, because he talked about going out for, getting knowledge in your life, but he's a giver. So, as he said, we're not always looking at what we are getting, but what are we giving. And I think this gesture of Gurinder to give a Sunday afternoon with a lot of love and no hurry, with that total immersion, even in taking each and every question and giving his 100% or whatever, I can't quantify it. That is Gurinder always. From the time I got to know him, when I approached him to give me an interview during the pandemic time till now, I think Gurinder, what you give is special. And I think every year, the people who listen to you, I'm very sure that somewhere there would be a little turning point in the way maybe we look at life, at knowledge, at relationships, at holding the tools in our hands and what we do with them. And I think that heightened sense of and the deepened sense of kind of connection with who we are and what we do, I think that's the hallmark of being human. And so, can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for this opportunity, and everybody have a great time.
And what you could do is, Gurinder, you can share the links with me, because they're now that we've been running for nearly 2.5 hours, 2 hour 40 minutes to be precise.
Yeah.
Some people have left, but on the course dashboard there are 1,100 people who registered. So I would share with the recording of the session for those who missed, and the links recommended by you about your work, your interview, and the better photography piece. I would share with everybody.
Sure.
I would do that.
It's there on my website, but I'll
And anyway, I have already shared a website link with them, but it's good, just like a kind of a complement to the today's session. We will do it once again. And and I wish that you stay blessed and keep giving us all those beautiful images. And thank you so very much. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you
from the heart. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Mr. Balamurugan, will you quickly share the photo contest poster with them? We'll release it tomorrow. So, Gurinder, we have a photo contest every year to encourage them and to incentivize trying to get a photo story. So this year we're doing it on ecopreneurs, which means going out and finding people who are living lives and doing jobs in an environmentally sustainable manner. But they may not realize that they are doing something environmentally sustainable but they're in the unorganized sector. Maybe they're very poor and they don't make a lot of money. But what they do is they respect the environment and they are there. So this is the photo contest, and in the presence of Mr. Gurinder Osan, it's a pleasure for me to announce the photo contest for the learners who are registered on the course. The theme is ecopreneurship. The start date is today and the ending date is 20th of October. So you're getting a lot of time. You have a month to go out. Can you scroll down, Mr. Balamurugan, please? Can you scroll down to the second page? So this will be shared on the course dashboard tomorrow morning. But the basic idea is that, go out, like Gurinder said, observe, immerse, and find those people around you whom you usually do not notice and see how they are living a life, which is they're getting a livelihood, but they're also kind of nurturing or respecting or keeping that, human nature balance. So that's the challenge for you, getting subjects and stories on people who you think are ecopreneurs, which means entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs, but who are looking at a better world, a better planet, and a sustainable planet. And you file your stories, and there are prizes for it. There are cash prizes, there are certificates. I mean, all of that to encourage all of you. And I think a month is a good time for you to build a photo essay on either one ecopreneur or maybe a series. A few people whom you find wherever you are. So that's the photo contest for this year. And I think Mr. Balamurugan is going to try once again scrolling down. Is it happening, Mr. Balamurugan?
No, madam, no, it's a try.
No problem. Try, but anyway, we'll be sharing with you. Will be shared with all of you because he's also doing the live streaming and he's managing a lot of things on the same side. On Sunday, he's in the office, and I thank him also for his unstinting support to make sure that even though we are in an online course, we have a personal connect with all of you. And we don't treat it like an online course where things are impersonal or no, Vamsi, the start day is today. Is it the wrong date? It's a wrong date. We'll correct it. The start date is not 19th September. Thank you for pointing it out. So, Mr. Balamurugan, the start date is 19th 8th today. Thank you so much, Vamsi, for your observation and for pointing it out. Yeah, Navami, you have a question to ask? Please go ahead. You can unmute yourself or put on the chat. Navami Lennon. Submission date would be, okay, I will figure this out. Don't worry. I will correct this with Mr. Balamurugan after we are through, and this will be shared with you tomorrow morning with all of you, because we all have had a very long day. So we will work on this tomorrow morning with a fresh mind and make sure that everything is in order, and it will be released tomorrow on the course dashboard. So don't worry about the dates. You'll have sufficient time, 1 or 1.5 months. But the subject, like I said, is on finding those people who are being able to find that delicate balance in their lives where they would need to work for money, for their livelihood, but they also take care of the environment, and they don't make those choices which hamper the environment. And can you find those subjects and those people who are respectful of the environment and finding work, in that context? It's a little bit of a challenge, but like we discussed today, as a photojournalist, you need to find what is interesting for you and what are the stories that are relevant and meaningful that need to be told. And I think along with telling stories about human beings, somewhere we also need to address what human beings are doing with the environment. And maybe that can come out through our reflection, through our photo stories. So that's it. And I thank all of you once again for spending your Sunday with us. Once again, a big heartfelt thank you to Mr. Gurinder Osan for his sharing. And we'll meet again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gurinder. Thank you.
Bye.
Please get some water.
I just did.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gurinder. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.